The back row.
Everyone should please have a seat. Well, thank you everyone for being here tonight. It's a great crowd and we greatly appreciate it. My name is Nick Owens. I'm the chairman of the Brown County Republican Party. And again, thank you for being here tonight. Just for some housekeeping purposes, many of you have been in this building before, but many have not. The bathrooms are going to be that direction. We're going to be behind that wall. There's a set of men's and women behind that wall. So if you have to go to the restroom. Also, we have an agenda. I have some agendas over there by the Pepsi machine in that folder laid out. So all the Central Committee members inside your folder, you have your agenda. But anybody who would like the agenda, feel free to go over to the corner there and pick your one up. Just so everybody knows, we have 19 races to be considered tonight. Of the 19, 13 are uncontested and 6 are contested races. So we're going to start tonight with the 13 uncontested. The 13 uncontested, whether it's a candidate or the representative, will have 2 minutes to speak. Now, you want to use 10 seconds or you want to use 3 minutes? Just ballpark 2 minutes. The first person to go will be Justice Hawkins of the High Supreme Court. He's here and he'll come up here shortly. Once Justice Hawkins went, you will see your ballots, Central Committee members. They're in order of the races. And so when we bring up the second person, who's a representative for Frank Rhodes, Kenny Henning, we will vote, be voting for Dan Hawkins's race at the time that Kenny is speaking. And then we'll continue that cadence all throughout, so we can get through these uncontested races. And so I will probably need some help of people collecting ballots in a respectful way to the speaker. But the goal is that we get through all 13 uncontested races, voting them at the same time. And then, if you'll see, for those who have the agenda and the Central Committee members, the 6 contested races are Ohio Governor, Ohio Secretary of State, Ohio Supreme Court January 2nd term, Ohio Treasurer, State Central Committee man, and Brown County Commissioner. Each one of those candidates gets 5 minutes to speak, and we're going to ask, which is our custom, in one of those contested races, whoever goes first certainly come up here. But if you're not the first person, we ask you and all the other candidates maybe in that race, if there's more than 2 total, to go out in the vestibule or to go outside by the vestibule or something. So, just out of fairness, we don't want other people stealing speeches and things like that. That's just what we've done over the years. And so each candidate will get 5 minutes in each of the contested races. We're going to do Ohio Governor, Ohio Secretary of State, Ohio Supreme Court, Ohio Treasurer, State Central Committee man, Brown County Commissioner, all in that order. And at that point, the Central Committee will go into executive session in a room behind us, so nobody has to move their stuff. We'll discuss all 6 races one time in one executive session, so we're not having multiple breaks. And then at that point, we'll come out and vote the races individually. That'll take a little longer than the contested, but the thing is, in some races, for instance, governor, there's 3 candidates. So if one candidate doesn't get endorsed on the first round, we'll drop someone off and vote again. So, and I have ballots over there in the folder if that scenario happens. So we'll try to keep it very crisp. Additionally, Gabe Gutierrez, I didn't butcher his last name. Gabe is here from Turning Point Action. He's going to be talking about Turning Point Action when we go into executive session. So he'll come up and talk to you. And of course, we're in executive session. Feel free to, maybe we'll do whatever you want. But I would like for you guys to at least listen to Gabe for a couple minutes to talk about Turning Point Action. So without further ado, We'll have the pledge be led by Vice Chair Mr. McKenzie and the prayer by Deputy Conley.
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to come together, Lord, and try to shine your light in the decisions we make tonight. We ask that you guide the discussions and decisions here to better the community that we serve, Lord, our country and the world. We ask you to be with those that are serving overseas and at home in first responder situations this evening, Lord, and just ask that you continue to watch over us. All these things we pray in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Wayne Bollinger, Angela Marlowe, Tim O'Hara, Robert Hare, Joe Kovac, Mark Potts, Jimmy Hiles, Greg Lang, Blaine Pinkerton, Sandy Reader, Justin Smith, Betty Jo Ratliff, I'm here, Janet Ward, John Hoffman, April Howe, Wayne Lowry, Amy Sloat, Richard Dyer, Mike Mays, Nick Owens, Joella Waits, Reggie McKenzie, Amber Morrison, Mary DeLucas, Howard McLean, Roxanne Malone, Paula Scott, Justin Conley, and Gordon Ellis.
Tim O'Hara back in. Sorry.
$21 present, 20 people were voted.
So we do have a quorum for endorsement. We have 21 members present. So you have to receive 14 votes to be endorsed or recommended. We do have a slight different process for state and federal candidates and for local candidates. For state and federal candidates, there can only be one endorsement, again, 2/3. If there's multiple candidates and the candidate hasn't received endorsement on the first or second vote, we'll take one off and keep voting it until there's 2 candidates left. If someone gets endorsement clearly or no endorsement, that's it. With regards to recommendation for county office, and we only have one contested one, you can vote the ballot multiple times. In the endorsements for state and federal, you can only pick one candidate. But in the local races, where we only have one that's contested, and we have 4 individuals, you can vote all 4, none, 3 or 4, whatever it may be. And any of those candidates of the 4 that get 14 votes will be recommended. So without further ado, let me bring up Justice Hawkins.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dan Hawkins. It's great to be back here this evening. It's actually my first time officially, I think, back here in Brown County. No longer as Judge Dan Hawkins, but as your new Ohio Supreme Court Justice Dan Hawkins. I was elected in 2024, but I'm up again already here in 2026 because I won an unexpired term. And this year's election would be for my full 6-year term. Now, just by way of background a little bit, there are 2 seats up for the Ohio Supreme Court this year. Myself, and I'm up for re-election. I'm unopposed in the primary. So I already have an opponent. It's a Democrat out of Cincinnati who will be running against me in the November election. But I'm unopposed in the primary. But Even though I've been endorsed by the state ORP, I've still been going around county to county and asking for state county endorsements because first, I think it's important. It's counties such as Brown County, which propelled myself and my colleagues to victory in 2024 that prevented that liberal progressive takeover of our Ohio Supreme Court. So I want to thank you for that support and that help because we're going to need it again this year. The outside special interest groups that we saw pouring in here from out of state, all special interest money from out of state, came pouring in to fund our Democrat opponents in 2024. They're going to try to do it again this year in 2026 to take me out. The other race that's up, Justice Jennifer Bruner is the lone Democrat on the court. She is also up for election, and there are some good folks, good judges who are running in a primary against her. You're going to hear from them tonight, but I just want to let you know that they're not running against me. I always like to point that out. I think they're pointing that out as well, and I'd be honored to run alongside any one of them. So you all have a big night ahead of you in front of dealing with a lot of other contested elections, so I don't want to take too much of your time. I just want to make sure I showed up tonight. So again, thank you. I think we're doing great work on the Ohio Supreme Court. We've got a good conservative court right now, justices who understand the importance of following the Constitution and the rule of law and not legislating from the bench. I'm committed to doing that, following that oath. I look forward to not only your asking for your endorsement this evening, but also for your vote and your support this November as we once again try to make sure that our Ohio Supreme Court reflects Republican conservative values and to make sure that Ohio remains safe, free, and prosperous for years to come. So again, my name is Justice Dan Hawkins. I'm your Ohio Supreme Court Justice. Thank you so much for having me this evening. God bless you.
So Reggie McKenzie's going to collect ballots, so we're going to have representative for candidate for Ohio Auditor, Frank LaRose, come on up. But if Reggie will be walking around, if somebody on maybe this side wants to help, Reggie will come around and collect the ballots.
Good evening, everybody. I will be brief. I am Kenny Henning, and I am here on behalf of Frank LaRose, who is our current Secretary of State, running for Auditor of State. Every tax dollar Ohioans pay represents work, sacrifice, and trust. That is why Frank LaRose is running for Ohio Auditor. In short, the Ohio Auditor does more than review books. We protect the tax dollars that the agency oversees from thousands of entities around the state in which we audit. Does any Central Committee member know approximately how many entities the Ohio Auditor's Office does audit? Any guesses? The Ohio Auditor's Office oversees around 5,900 to 6,000 entities. So we have to make sure that those entities are using your tax dollars correctly. As Auditor of State, Frank LaRose will continue the work we've done for the past years in regards to increasing cybersecurity for compliance for local entities, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to serve. Thank God we do not have a primary opponent, but we would really appreciate the support from the Brown County Central Committee, and we would love and appreciate the endorsement. So thank you all for being here tonight.
So again, we're now collecting ballots on the Ohio Auditor State race. Is there anybody here for the Ohio Attorney General? So I can speak on his behalf. Ohio Attorney General candidate Keith Faber is our state auditor. He is unopposed in the primary, and he'll be running for Attorney General. He's been our state auditor for, I believe, 8 years, going on 8 years. And then also he was Senate President before that, and served in Ohio House and Ohio Senate. So we'll be getting that vote. We'll let Reggie pick up the ballots for Ohio Auditor first, and then he'll come back around for Keith Faber. But without further ado, next up on the list is State Representative Adam Burton.
It's an honor to be with you again, and first I'd like to thank you for your previous endorsements. And I'm coming to you tonight asking for an endorsement for my fourth and final term as a state representative. I would like to say that I believe I worked pretty hard, and I've had bills signed by the governor in my first term, my second term, my third term. And this term, I've had 14 bills that have introduced. The most recent 3 that have introduced, one has been in regards to prohibiting absentee applications to be mailed out to every single Ohioan. I don't think that is a very good use of our tax money to mail an absentee ballot to every single Ohioan. It would also prohibit other entities like League of Women Voters or Planned Parenthood from mailing out absentee ballots across Ohio. I've also got a bill that would protect our students from NIL, and I think that high school sports should be about character, leadership, communication, discipline, work ethic, and fitness, and it should not be about making money off of schools that are providing this ability for you to learn in an extension of the classroom. And finally, the most recent bill that I've introduced lately is a bill that says that if you're a village councilman, a village mayor, a township trustee, or a county commissioner, you cannot sign a non-disclosure agreement because we believe that government should be transparent. And if it's a good idea, you should be able to sell that good idea to the community. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Some of the other bills that I've been either a co-sponsor of or a very big supporter of this General Assembly. Number 1 would be Senate Bill 1, which we passed very quickly this General Assembly, thanks to Senator Rodner back there. But also I was a big supporter of it on the House chamber. And this is a bill that says that we're not going to allow schools to coerce students into pledging allegiance to DEI. We're not going to allow those who would seek an appointment as a professor to be required to pledge allegiance to DEI, and we're going to ensure intellectual diversity across the college campuses in the state of Ohio. So that's something that really needed to be done. We also passed bills that said we're going to give an additional $700 million to our public schools, and I know a lot of times, especially in a place like Brown County, where mostly all we have is a public school, it's very important that we support our public schools. And despite whatever you may hear out there on the interwebs, the state of Ohio continues to increase its support for public schools. We also passed bills that had property tax reform at its heart, and what these bills in totality would say is that if your property taxes are going to increase in the future, it's going to be because of inflation, okay? It's not going to be because of unvoted increases based on property valuation spikes. And so your property taxes are not going to go up anymore unless either you vote for it or it's going to go up at the rate of inflation. That's been a big part of what we've done. And then we've also passed a very important bill that said all of your absentee ballots have to be returned by election day in order to be counted. We're not going to hang out there for days and weeks waiting for them to come back to the Board of Election in the mail, which, you know, is kind of slow sometimes. And then finally, we just said, we're not going to allow marijuana to be packaged for kids and marketed to kids. So we're trying to protect our students, we're trying to protect our communities, we're trying to protect your liberties. And so what I would say, I would be honored to have your endorsement for a fourth and final term as a state representative. I respectfully ask for your support tonight. Thank you very much.
State Representative Justin Pizzoli.
Good evening. My name is Justin Pizzoli, and I am the state representative for the 90th House District seeking re-election. Members of the Brown County Republican Central Committee, thank you sincerely for having me here tonight. I don't take this lightly, and I know that your time matters. I'm very grateful you're willing to hear me out. I want to be clear why I'm here tonight. I am asking for your endorsement, not because I think I am entitled to it, but because I believe I have earned your trust through my work, my consistency, and through showing up for this party in this county. I want to acknowledge the reality that we are facing this November. I have a Democrat opponent waiting for me in the general election. And if we're serious about holding this seat and keeping Brown County represented by a conservative who reflects our values, then unity matters. It matters early and it matters clearly. Let me tell you who I am in one sentence. I'm a workhorse, not a show horse. I didn't run to build a brand. I didn't run to chase the headlines. I ran to do the unglamorous, sometimes frustrating, always necessary work of governing, the kind that actually affects people's lives here at home. If you look at my record, that's exactly what you'll see. I've shown up for the party, not just in words, but in action. Donated thousands of dollars to the party because I believe in building a team, not just in my own campaign. When the party needed help, I didn't ask what was in it for me. I wrote the check and I showed up. My voting record is conservative. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient, consistently. Been a champion for conservative values, limited government, personal responsibility, respect for local control, and a deep skepticism of unnecessary regulation that drives up costs for families who are already stretched very thin. And that brings me to the one issue I briefly want to highlight because it perfectly captures how I approach this job. Septic regulations. Most people, they don't wake up in the morning thinking about septic regulations. But a lot of families in Brown County go to bed worried about them. Right now, we have got a mess in the state. 88 counties doing 88 different things. Layers of rules that go far beyond protecting public health, driving up housing costs, stopping people from building on land they already own, and forcing unnecessary replacements that can cost tens of thousands of dollars. That's not conservatism. That is bureaucracy run wild in our state. So instead of complaining about it, I went to work. I'm developing legislation to cut through the nonsense, to protect public health without punishing rural families, farmers, and homeowners who are doing the right thing. It's not flashy, won't make the cable news, but it matters to the real people of Brown County. I also want to say this. I understand the responsibility that comes with asking for your endorsement. It's about who you trust to carry on the Republican banner with seriousness, discipline, and respect for who you trust to win. I believe I've demonstrated that I can do that. I've shown up, done the work, no conservative, and I support this party, and I never forget who sent me there. So tonight, I'm asking you to stand with me, not just for the primary, but for the general election, and for the people of Brown County who deserve a conservative representative focused on results. Thank you again for having me, your service to this party, and for the work you do behind the scenes that keeps everything moving. I would be honored to earn your endorsement tonight. Thank you, and God bless.
I've seen some people, seen some agendas. I was going to say, 12th District Court of Appeals Judge Matt Burns up next. I just want to give a little, then it'll be Judge Robert Henderson for the same court but a different term, and then we'll go State Central Committee Woman Employer Purpose. So if you're just ready and willing to be in line.
Thank you, Chairman, and hello to everybody on the committee and those watching. I'm Matthew Byrne. I'm a judge on the Court of Appeals, 12th District. For those of you who aren't familiar with our court, we are an appeals court that decides appeals coming from all of the trial courts in the 8 counties of our district, which includes Brown County. I was initially elected in 2020 and am now up for re-election. Obviously, I hope to continue doing this job. I just want to clarify, as the chairman just did, there are 2 seats on our court that are up for election at the same time. So when Judge Henderson follows me, we're not running against each other. Just to clarify that. So I always said when I ran for election in 2020 that it was deeply important that when you elect a judge, you do so with judicial philosophy in mind. That's the first point I want to talk about. So the whole, I think, theme I have of when I come to you and ask for re-election is promises kept.
When I ran for election the first time, I really made 3 promises. Now, as judges, we can't promise any outcome in any specific case, but we can promise to approach the job in a particular way. And the first promise I made was that I would approach the job as an originalist and a textualist, what some people would call it constitutional conservative, things of that nature. The basic idea is that I understand, and I think you should seek to elect judges who understand, that the role of a court is to say what the law already is and apply that law, not to create law, not to become sort of extra legislator or extra governor, but simply to apply the law as a judge should. I can point to my record. All of our opinions are online. You can look at them. I don't have the time here to go through them as I sometimes do in other forums, but you can look at a large body of cases where I think I've done that. Simply apply the law in its original meaning. Lovejoy v. Deal, Atkins v. City in Middletown, any number of other cases, you can find them. Second, when I ran, I promised that I would approach the management of the court in a manner that was efficient and effective, that kept in mind the needs of parties and lawyers litigating before us. I think I've kept that promise as well. We have innovated a number of things at the court. We've updated things. I spent the last 2 years serving as our court's administrative judge. Now I'm the presiding judge, but I worked with my colleagues to update the court in a number of ways. There's more I would like to do in a second term, but I'm proud of the work that we've done in that regard. Third, I made the promise that this is a big district. You know, there's 1 million people in this district, 8 counties. I made the promise that you would continue to see, that I wouldn't just disappear and show up again in 6 years. I've kept that promise as well. My view is that while we as judges are not able to, make sort of policy choices in the same way that a legislature or a governor can, we should simply do our jobs, but still be involved in communities so that you know who we are, you know what we stand for. I think you all have seen me in Brown County, certainly at many of your parties events over the years, at the Brown County Women's Club, Kiwanis, and Georgetown. I've kept that commitment to be involved. That's all I can really do as a judge. Simply promise to do the job the way that it should be done. I think I've done that. I hope that I've earned and will have your support for election, endorsement for re-election. Thank you, and happy to talk to you after.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Judge Hendrickson from the 12th District Court of Appeals. I wanted to come to you tonight to thank you for the support that you have given me over the years that I've been on the bench, on the appellate bench. I first ran the first time in 2008. I came down to Brown County, and Bill Herdman, Paul Hall, and Jesse Milligan were instrumental in supporting my race, and so that I went on to win in the general election. I can't tell you how important it is for this party to continue to support candidates and judicial candidates. The 12th District Court of Appeals was created in 1981. And at that time, since that time, there's only been one Democrat that's been elected to the 12th District Court of Appeals. That's when it originally created, and there was one judge. Since then, it's been all Republican judges. And my hat's off to you for supporting the judges. And want to thank you for that, because not all appellate districts have that luxury. In fact, you're seeing in the big cities where it's turning from red to blue, and unfortunately, Republicans have a difficult time getting reelected. But because this district is made up of very conservative counties, it's been possible for me to continue. This is my last term. At age 70, you cannot run again, and so I'll be 68 when my term begins. And That's the reason I want to come out tonight and thank you. I want to continue to serve you in this capacity with a conservative view and using the experience, the common sense, and the wisdom that God has given me to apply the law and to do justice. Currently, I'm the most senior judge on the 12th District Court of Appeals, and I'm also the Chief Justice of the Ohio Appellate Judges Association. That's the like the president, and I've been very fortunate to represent the 8 counties in that capacity. I thank you for coming out tonight and listening to all the candidates and making a decision that's good for the people. Thank you.
Next up will be State Central Committee Woman Gloria Kirker, but first I'm going to announce some of our endorsements. I've been requested by the tally crew, please do not fold your ballots. It makes it difficult for them to count them in a quick and easy manner, so please do not fold the ballot. So first, Justice Dan Hawkins has been endorsed. Auditor candidate Frank LaRose has been endorsed. Attorney General candidate T. Faber has been endorsed. State Representative Adam Byrd has been endorsed. And State Representative Justin Pizzoli has been endorsed.
Thank you for the opportunity. Good evening. My name is Gloria Kirker. I serve on the Ohio Republican Central Committee. What is our job? Our mission is simple: to endorse and support conservative candidates who can defeat the Democrats and to keep Ohio red. That's our mission. And you know what? Recently, this mission has become all the more clear to me. I'm very excited to share that my husband and I are expecting our first child later this year. And you know what? Common sense really is common sense. We found out we were having a son at 6 weeks through a blood test. So when the Democrats lie to you and they say that sex is assigned at birth arbitrarily, that's a bunch of BS. It's false, it's fake science, it's not true. So this November, I want you to keep in mind the Democrats we're running against. We're running against Allison Russo. You're running against Amy Acton, the COVID queen. We're running against Sherrod Brown. These people want to destroy Ohio. These people believe the woke ideology. So when you choose to endorse here tonight, I ask you to consider this. Who's the most conservative, and can they beat the Democrats? Because if they can't win in November, it doesn't matter. Truly, this is what's at stake: the future of our children and our communities and our state. So I thank you so much for your ongoing support. Thank you, Brown County, for holding the red line here in Ohio. I love this district, the reddest district in the state. So thank you. God bless.
So I will be briefly speaking on behalf of Senator John Husted. As you all know, Senator Husted was appointed by Governor Mike DeWine for the vacancy created by J.D. Vance. And as we all know, President Trump's last 2 years of his term are at election this year. We don't keep the Senate, we don't keep the House. Donald Trump will be paralyzed in office. We thought it was bad last time with Russia and all these hoaxes. And Senator Husted has no primary opponent. He is the only person on the primary ballot, and it's absolutely essential that we keep that seat in November. And who is his opponent in November? The person we just retired, who's trying to come back, who really scares me? Sherrod Brown. Couldn't imagine. We had Sherrod Brown for 18 years. And he could literally get back in there. So we have to stay united to make sure we defeat Sherrod Brown and keep the Senate in Republican hands. Because again, if we lose the Senate, just like the House, we've lost the presidency effectively. So I'd ask for an endorsement vote on behalf of Senator Husted. Do we have anybody here for Representative Taylor?
I'm trying not to hit my head up here, but I'm here on behalf of Congressman Taylor. I'm his campaign manager. Thank you everyone for being here tonight, and it's an honor to be here as well. I can tell you personally that Congressman Taylor knows that the heartbeat of the district is not in the committee room in DC. It's right here in the local communities that he's honored to represent. He's been fighting in DC almost every day that he's there, continuing to work for the 2nd District of Ohio. It'd be an honor to have your endorsement for Congressman Taylor. I know that you'll be here personally very soon as well, but I want to thank you, everybody here tonight. It's an honor to speak with you. Hopefully an honor to receive the endorsement on behalf of Congressman Taylor this evening. Thank you all very much.
Next up is our prosecutor, Zach Corbin, running for Common Pleas Court General Division.
Good evening. All right, my name is Zach Corbin, and I know pretty much all of you. I have served as your prosecuting attorney here since I was elected first in 2016, took office in 2017. Of course, I've been in that office since 2012 as an assistant prosecutor. And I want to be clear, because the question has come up, I am running for Judge of the Court of Common Pleas General Division. I am not running against Judge Lewis. We both grew up in Georgetown. We know a lot of the same people. So I think back around the Brown County Fair time when I announced that I was going to be running, I think Val and I both got the question whether we were running against each other. And to be clear, we are not. I am running for the General Division, which is the seat currently held by Judge Gus Weiler. He is not running again, so I am running unopposed. Judge Lewis is the juvenile probate judge. He is running unopposed. And then we have Judge Courtney Worley, who is our municipal court judge. Those are our 3 judges. So we are not running against each other. You all know me. I am born and raised right here in Brown County. My wife, Ashley, born and raised right here in Brown County. We raised our 4 little girls right here in Brown County. I went to preschool in this building, as a matter of fact, many, many years ago. 3 of my 4 daughters went to preschool in this building, and our 4th, I hope, will start here this fall. I graduated from high school just half mile down the road. I was baptized into Christ, and I married the love of my life right across the street here at the Georgetown Church of Christ. I grew up in a house where my parents still live about a mile down 68. This is home for me, and this will always be my home. And it has been an absolute honor to serve you and to serve Brown County, because that's what this is all about. We serve you. This is for you. And it has been an honor to serve Brown County as your prosecuting attorney. And I am excited to continue to serve Brown County as your Common Pleas Court General Division judge. As your prosecutor, you know the types of things that go on here. I've talked about it. I've seen the worst of the worst. I've prosecuted murderers, sent murderers to prison for life, child rapists. You know the numbers. In fact, today we convicted a child rapist and sent him to prison for life without parole. The victim of that offense was 2 years old. And sadly, that is one of about 50 people that I've sent to prison for life for raping children in the time that I've been in the prosecutor's office. Mr. Owens and I, the chairman here, we were instrumental in forming Brown County's Drug and Major Crimes Task Force. That when our county was seeing an absolute epidemic of drug overdose deaths, we started going after not just the users, but the mid to high level drug traffickers that bring that poison into our county. We started going after them and sending them to prison, to the point that people from other counties, they didn't want to travel into Brown County because they knew what was going to happen if they did. That was the type of prosecutor's office that we ran. And I'm excited to take my experience, my knowledge, and my temperament to the bench. And that's what I will do as your common pleas judge. It has been an honor to serve you. I've always appreciated your support. And I humbly ask for your continued support and your recommendation as your candidate for Brown County Common Pleas Court General Division Judge. Thank you. God bless you all.
One thing you learn, don't let Zach talk before you. All right? I'm upset with Mr. Owens for doing that to me. But, my name is Judge Val Lewis. I've been your probate juvenile judge for about 7 years now. I was appointed first and then ran 6 years ago, approximately. And it's been the honor of my life to have that job. I won't stand here and tell you everything's been done perfect. I don't love politicians or judges that say that. I get up every day and I take the values that I learned here in Brown County and I try to apply it to my decisions. I try to do the best that I can with what I know at the time. And I try to honor this party. I try to honor my family, my faith, and I try to honor this county. And the decisions I make, for the most part, I'm proud of. And when I don't make good ones or I make mistakes, I try to learn from that as well. And I'm going to say a little bit different than most people here. I'm going to tell you, we live in a time where people love to point out mistakes, love to talk about errors, but there's a lot of good things happening out there. There's a lot of hardworking people doing good things every day. A lot of people in this party that are doing great things every day. Some of the things I'm proud of at my court, we've started a school program where if kids are suspended, expelled, they don't get to go home and take a vacation. They get to come and have school 30 feet from my office. We keep them accountable. If they can't get up in the morning, we send people out to make sure they do. We try to be active in their lives. We try to inspire them when needed. We try to correct them when needed, but we try to show up for them every day. And we show them that we care about them, whether that's a kick in the butt or a hug. We got both. And there's times for both. And I want those values that I learned growing up in Brown County, many of the same places Mr. Corbin just referenced. I want them to be examples to the kids and to the people that come in my court. The probate side is a difficult one. We're dealing with people at the end of their lives, dealing with tough decisions. And I try to have a staff there that is understanding of that, is compassionate with that, and representing Brown County values when they help people with that as well. If I'm lucky enough, and I say lucky because I don't take it for granted ever, to get the endorsement of this party, I will continue to show up every day and apply the values that I have so far. And I hope to do better than I did yesterday. And I hope tomorrow I'll do better than today. And that's my promise to you. Thank you.
So we'd like to keep it on schedule and on time. So Brown County Auditor up for re-election, Jill Hall, is up next. On her behalf is going to be Attorney Jim Schroeder. Just want to let you know, once Jim is done, we're going to vote that race so we can get all the uncontested done. So it might take a couple minutes. So we'll probably, so Jim will talk, then we're going to make sure we vote all the uncontested. I'll announce those, and then we'll start with the governor candidates. And just so you know, I haven't seen him, but I've been told he's here. Mr. Butch, okay, there he is. He's back in the back. So he'll speak first. And then Vivek Ramaswamy is going to call in. And then Heather Hill gave me a statement to read yesterday. She's from like 3.5 hours away. She said, I'd have to get a hotel and miss 3 events tomorrow. She came tonight, so I appreciated that. And she gave me a statement to read. So again, we'll have Mr. Schroeder on behalf of Auditor Hall. We'll vote the ballots, make sure they're all announced, all the uncontesteds. And then we'll start with Mr. Butch. And then we'll have a phone call by Mr. Ramaswamy. And then I'll read Heather Hill's statement. And because, Casey, that you'll be going first and you're not going again, you don't have to step out when we hear the phone call from Mr. Ramaswamy. You'll be staying in. All right?
Well, good evening. It's good to go after our judges. I feel better about the world I live in when I hear them talk. So I am here tonight to bring greetings from Jill Hall. She had a prior family obligation. I'm going to save you the time tonight of talking about the things that she's accomplished in office. Mark Potts is here. You could talk to him about those things, or you could talk to me after the fact. But I think it's important that we continue to have solid leadership like Jill Hall in our constitutional offices. And I'm here tonight in Rise to ask for your support for a full endorsement and a unanimous endorsement of Jill Hall as our auditor to continue in that role on behalf of the county. And just as I close, Mr. Chairman, a moment of privilege. 3 years ago this week, and this is this time of year, our chairman, Paul Hall, passed away. Part of the reason why Jill's not here tonight, it's a really tough time for her and the family. We're all better for Paul's friendship, for his leadership, and I pray that we remember him by continuing the good work together that we do for the betterment of Brown County. Thank you.
We're going to take a 5-minute break, just so everybody's in the committee, and so that's a long stretch. So just 5 minutes. We're going to start at 6:55, right on the dot. 6:55.
Good, how you doing? Nice to see you.
It's hard to do right now.
I'm going to bring that up.
Not too bad.
I just shocked you.
Where's Paul?
How are you, Kelly?
I had it on a court though, under my thing. The good thing about this dress is you put anything on.
Loving the car. Working in a for a week. I've never met you, but I just feel like you're in my spot. The community is lucky to have you. You have a really good attitude, perfection.
Yes. No, sometimes you don't like to admit you don't know everything.
But I think that's great.
Yeah.
Kids need a kick in the tail for me to hug.
Yeah. Figuring it out. I appreciate it. It means something. Thank you.
Well, your dad didn't knock about. Yeah.
And he hasn't been out much, but I'm doing
My husband was like, oh, I'm glad they caught it early, but he still had to have the season plan. Still went through that radiation thing. But yeah, he's lost like 40 pounds. And he's not a big tall guy like you. He was just hiding some weight, and he said, I gotta take care of myself. I'm gonna do a little bit.
Gives you acting right, yeah.
Yes, I'm glad you are doing well.
If everyone can start to make their way back to their seats, please everyone start making your way back to the seats. If everyone can start to take their seats again. So for 12th District Court of Appeals, January 1st, Matt Byrne is endorsed. For 12th District Court of Appeals, February 9th term, Robert Hendrickson is endorsed. For State Central Committee woman, Gloria Kirker is endorsed. Got a hand over there. I think it's your colleague on the State Central Committee. For U.S. Senator, John Husted is endorsed. For U.S. Representative, 2nd District, David Taylor, he's been endorsed. Brown County Common Pleas Court General Division, Zach Corbin has been recommended. Brown County Common Pleas Juvenile Probate, Val Lewis has been recommended. And for Brown County Auditor, Jill Hall has been recommended. Is everybody seated? For the main event, I should have some like theme music up here for 6 contested races, but in fairness, it's not fun when you're a candidate. It's very nerve-wracking. So up first, Casey Putsch and his running mate, Kim Georgeson, is here. You have 5 minutes. You both can come up if you want to address the crowd.
Hey everybody, thank you for having us here tonight. Many of you may remember me from my congressional race a couple of years ago. I was on this very stage speaking about why I was running in that race. And the reason was because COVID really got me involved in politics early on. And that was really what compelled me to get involved and see what's going on at the political level. This year, I am proud to stand here with Casey Putsch, who's running for governor. And I am running as his lieutenant governor on this ticket as well. And what I would like to say is that last week, I attended a meeting at the Village of Mount Orab and spoke on behalf of data centers. And because I originally got involved due to COVID, I just want to share that data centers are really COVID 2.0. Basically with the surveillance state that is going to be ushered in with data centers. If that had been live when we had COVID, you literally could have been stopped from purchasing. You literally could have been stopped from accessing your bank account. You literally could have been stopped from your electric usage. So these are the things that are concerning me around data centers. Same reason I got involved with COVID, and that is why we're standing here today. So I'd like to introduce Casey Putsch to you, and we would ask for your endorsement at the end. Thank you.
Howdy, everybody. First of all, I am honored to be here. Thank you. A little bit of a drive up from the Toledo area, but I had some extra fun today. One of my old cars that I fixed up, I just got done, so this was the maiden boy. And for all you car guys out there, farmers, anybody has to fix up old things,
make it new, you understand how good it feels to say, take something old and discard it and make it new again, how you can come out ahead. In many ways, I think we can do that, frankly, with the state. For tonight, let's be genuine. How many of you here, by the way, it's the only time I'm going to ask you to raise your hand. How many of all of us here have had to stand up for what's right? Had to stand up for things against the grain because it matters? And I frankly want to see literally everyone's hand here. If I don't, that's a bit shocking. But you get the idea. I appreciate you saying that. What got me in this fight is I didn't see us being represented. I saw walls closing in societally, economically, politically. I was seeing people not having the future that they should. Data centers are big and bad. Even forgetting about the surveillance state, they've been facilitated for us to basically have to subsidize with tax abatements, including our waterways, et cetera. That's terrible. Young people can't afford homes across the board. And our labor force and our young people that have gone to school for all the right reasons are literally being actively replaced by foreign labor that big corporations can pay less. So I didn't like that. But for right now, let's do a thought experiment, hypothetical, no names. I wrote down theoreticals because tonight's an endorsement night, and I thought this would just help us figure out. I got candidate 1 and candidate 2. Both of them are middle-aged men with a few kids. Candidate 1 is Hindu. Candidate 2 is Christian. Candidate 1 was born to Indian foreign nationals. Candidate 2 was born to all Americans and Buckeyes with family lineage that goes back generations. Candidate 1, his parents were not citizens when he was born and brought here to the state, and 1 is still not. Candidate 2 has military going back to blowing the bugle in the cavalry in the 1800s, both World Wars, F-4 Phantoms over Vietnam, Battle of Okinawa, World War II. Candidate 1 went to Harvard and Yale and got money from George Soros' family money for a scholarship. Candidate 2 is a third-generation Buckeye. Candidate 1 has no businesses in Ohio. Candidate 2 has done watch restoration companies, car restoration companies, and continues to build things for people in Ohio. Candidate 1 has done zero philanthropy in Ohio. Candidate 2 has dedicated the last 11 years to making people's lives better, getting young people jobs, and picking up this slack the American educational system has left off. Candidate 1 was endorsed by a president through a tweet. Candidate 2 has a Lifetime Achievement Award in education from 2 presidents and was honored by the United States Air Force Thunderbirds to fly with them. Keep in mind, these are hypotheticals. Candidate 1 has created nothing except businesses that move money, buying rights to things like pharmaceutical drugs that already failed, to try to make money on again in the future. Candidate 2 has built a 100 miles a gallon plus recyclable car to fix the automotive industry and blow the leftist narrative about EVs. Candidate 2 has also built the world's only full-scale flying pterosaur. Candidate 2 has also built a turbine-powered Batmobile. Built real things. Candidate 1 is currently facing RICO charges with a billionaire that talks about who the Antichrist is. The bodyguard was arrested on drug trafficking charges. And strangely enough, jets associated end up at the Turk and Caicos Islands, despite America having beautiful beaches to spend. But candidate 2 got a speeding ticket about 2 or 3 years ago. Candidate 1 has doubled his net worth in the last year while only running for public office on taxpayer donations, while not actually filling any office or doing anything for the betterment of the American people. Candidate 2 has spent the last 2 years building prototype watches, restoring old cars, and doing educational YouTube videos, and mentoring young engineers and helping them get jobs. Candidate 1 runs for office for personal gain and power. Candidate 2 runs for office to save the state. Candidate 1 buys his way into media. Candidate 2 is organically supported by the people. Candidate 1 thinks America is an idea and doesn't care about its heritage. Candidate 2 is a heritage American and loves and protects his culture for all the people, because he is one. Candidate 1 wants to replace Ohio's labor force because they're not smart enough with Indian H-1B visas. Candidate 2 helps get jobs for young people in Ohio. Candidate 1 wants to facilitate data centers to billionaire tech bro buddies. Candidate 2 wants to protect people from AI. Candidate 1 has been described as a globalist Trojan horse, and Candidate 2 an all-American Buckeye. Candidate 1 shies away from the Second Amendment at every chance possible. Candidate 2 is happy to say shall not be infringed. Candidate 1 will turn Ohio blue for years to come. Candidate 2 can keep it red. Now, the last bit of this is very simple. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands.
But me, when I give consideration to candidate 1 and candidate 2, for me to consider supporting candidate 1, you would have to put a gun to my head, and I still wouldn't do it because I'm Ohio and want a future. So my speech is simple. All Americans know the difference between right and wrong. But only when we stand for our values against what is easy do we keep our country. Thank you.
Test, test. Can everyone hear me? Mr. Schroeder, you ready to come on up? Jim Schroeder should have connected on the line Vivek Ramaswamy, so hopefully this will all work through the phone.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
You're getting a nod.
All right, thank you. Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to join you this way. I'll get right into it. I'm gonna give you guys some real talk. Okay, why am I doing this? Let's talk about that. I think some people go into politics because they want to make a lot of money afterwards. Not me. I'm not going to make tens of millions of dollars by doing this. I'm going to sacrifice tens of billions of dollars by doing this, including investing in this race issue. All right, some people go into politics because they want fame and attention. In my case, running for governor would be a very bad choice to do that, as I've already run for president. Fox News offered me a show of my own right before I announced my run for governor. If I wanted to be famous and get national attention, I'd be doing that. The reason I'm doing this is not for fame, it is not for money, it is not for attention, it is not for hobby. It is because I know I can lead Ohio to be the top state in the country. It is because I know I will be the most conservative governor this state has ever seen in our history. It's because I know, I know I will turn Ohio to be the state that Texas and Florida are trying to be, rather than the other way around. Now, there's some people who apparently say there's nothing Ohio about it. You heard a little bit of that. I think it's a little bit of a strange thing to say, because I actually grew up not far from where you're all sitting right now. In Westchester in the late 80s, 90s, back when it was still all farmland out there with a small public library. Grew up in Evendale off I-75. My dad worked at GE. My mom worked at the VA and at nursing homes across Southwest Ohio. I went to public schools all the way through Princeton Junior High. I went to St. X for high school. This is the state where I was born and raised. It is the state where my wife and I are raising our kids. It is the state where, yes, I have donated hundreds of thousands of dollars or more in philanthropic dollars to conservative causes, but without talking about it. From crisis pregnancy centers in Springfield to the churches leading to relief efforts in East Palestine, Ohio. This is the state that instilled in me the values that I live by to this day. Faith, family, patriotism, and hard work. And I am grateful to this state and to our country for giving me the opportunities that I would have never had anywhere else in the world. And I'm in this because I feel a moral duty to lead this state better than I found it. All right, so I get it. I was endorsed by Donald Trump, who, by the way, I spoke to the other night after our daughter was born, by J.D. Vance, by Charlie Kirk, by Bernie Moreno, by the Butler County GOP, a bunch of other county GOPs, by the Ohio Republican Party. So does that somehow mean I'm part of the establishment now? No, that's a joke. Real courage actually involves making a sacrifice for your convictions, not just making bombastic social media posts. I stepped down from my job as the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company a half-decade ago to become the first major crusader in our country against wokeism. I wrote Woke Inc. back when it was actually unpopular to say the things I said in that book, unlike today. I became the leading opponent in our country against the ESG epidemic in our country, which, by the way, hurts rural America, including rural Ohio. When I left the presidential race, I traveled this country for all of 2024 to help elect Donald Trump, my former opponent, because I knew the future of our country depended on it. And I am running for governor because I now know the future of our state depends on it. There is a choice between two candidates in this election. It is a choice between electing the most conservative governor in the history of our state and the first socialist governor in the history of our state. That's saying, yeah. It is a choice between the biggest property tax cut or more in the history of our state or the biggest hike in property taxes that are coming in the history of our state. It is a choice becoming a zero income tax state or becoming a welfare state under Amy Acton. It is a choice between faith, family, patriotism, and hard work on one side, and wokeism, transgenderism, COVIDism, and the climate cult on the other. That is the choice we face. Now, fellow Republicans in the room, I'll speak straight with you. We do not have the luxury of messing around. We do not have the luxury for clown shows and the time for indulging ourselves with clownish entertainment. We need a united Republican Party because if we are divided, then yes, we will lose this election. Now, I get it. I've lived in the state. As you all know, there have been a lot of conservatives, I'm one of them, who have been rightfully frustrated that we haven't actually had a conservative governor in the state. They have been Republican and they have not been conservative. And my answer to you is after all of those years, after all of those decades, finally, this is our chance. There are a lot of conservatives, particularly in rural Ohio, which I believe is the backbone of our state, who are rightfully frustrated. And I do think this is an important issue, that data centers are leaving our local communities worse off and that nobody's really standing up for the issue. My answer to you, I'll be very tangible to you, is this, not to sit around and complain about it. There was a specific bill that conservative leaders in our state legislature pioneered, which would have ended the special tax breaks for data centers. And without those special tax breaks, they would not be coming to our state. They'd be going to other states that are giving those tax breaks. In fact, my Lieutenant Governor, Rob McCauley, was the one who, as Senate President, pushed that bill through the Senate. It's one of the reasons that I was impressed with them and chosen as my Lieutenant Governor. Governor DeWine vetoed it. You have my pledge tonight, where I am asking you for your endorsement. You have my pledge tonight that once we win this election, when that bill hits my desk, I will sign it and go far further than that, ensuring that every economic development project, data center or otherwise, will have to pay for their own energy and their own consequences on local communities, or else they're getting out of our state. Economic development is essential. It is how we lift up wages, but it has to happen on the terms of local communities. So that's why I'm in this. And I feel like we face a stark choice where we don't have the chance to indulge and just entertain ourselves with sideshows and really clownish behavior. We have to get serious about a year where winning is essential to the future of our state. It is a choice. It is a time for choosing between, I will say it again, the most conservative governor in the history of our state, which conservatives have wanted for a long time. There's a tiny fringe that may say they don't actually want that in their heart of hearts because they'd rather complain. But most of us in the conservative movement want the most conservative governor we have ever had in the history of our state, or the first socialist governor we've had in the history of our state. That is it. That is the choice. And on this year, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, signed by Thomas Jefferson, when he was 33 years old, he said, the government we elect is the government we deserve. So I'm asking you to take that seriously when making the choice, because we don't have time to mess around. We don't have the risk to mess around. The future of our state depends on it. My family and I, fortunately, we will be fine no matter what happens, but this state will not be fine. That is why I'm in this. If you all do your part today, I promise you, my family and I, we're going to do ours. And you hold me to the promises I have made you tonight. When you endorse me, when I'm in office, and when we win this election, that allows you to come to me and say, we endorsed you, now keep the promises you made to us. You do your part, I'm going to do mine. Let's win this and win this big, not just for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance who endorsed me, but for the future of our state that depends on it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that's not hypothetical, that's the fact.
So as I said earlier, I will read a statement from Heather Hill, who's not here. She asked me. I'll try to keep it to 5 minutes, so hopefully it's less. So it says, hello, Ohio Republican Central Committee. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to question your endorsement. My name is Heather Hill, and I'm running to be your next governor. I'm not your typical political candidate. I'm a wife, military mom, a foster parent, and an entrepreneur. But more importantly, I'm someone who shares your values, your struggles, your dreams for a better future. I'm running because Ohio needs a leader who understands what it means to fight, serve, and work hard for everyday Americans like you and me. I grew up in Appalachia, where family, faith, and hard work were a way of life. At 16, I worked at McDonald's to help my family while earning my nursing tech certificate from Morgan High School. After graduation, I put myself through college, starting at Columbus State before earning my bachelor's degree from Ohio University. Nothing was handed to me like many of you. I had to work for it. For over 30 years, I've been married to my high school sweetheart, Darren. Together, we've raised 2 children and opened our hearts to foster kids who needed a safe home. Today, we live in a log cabin on a 100-acre farm in southeastern Ohio. In 2015, we started Ohio Hunting Lodge, a small business rooted in our love for the outdoors and our belief in the Second Amendment. We own arms of every kind because we believe in your God-given rights to protect yourself, your family, and your home. As your governor, I will fight to defend that right from extremists who want to take it away. But this campaign is about more than just that. It's about the future of Ohio. As a lifelong Appalachian, I know what it's like to be left behind. For 25 years, my family and I have lived without high-speed internet, running city water, or reliable roads. These aren't luxuries. They're basic necessities. And I will fight to make sure every Ohioan, no matter where they live, has access to the resources they need. I've also seen the devastation caused by bad policies that ship good jobs overseas. My stepdad worked at Taylor Woodcraft in Malta for 23 years before the factory shut down and moved to China. He lost his job, my parents lost their home, and our community lost a part of itself. That's a pain I carry with me every day, and it's why I fight to bring jobs and industry back to Ohio and keep here. We have everything we need to make Ohio thrive again: hardworking people, rich farmland, and abundant natural resources. As someone who owns gas and oil rights, I know how important our energy sector is. I believe we should use our reliable traditional fuels and minerals to create jobs, lower energy costs, and build a stronger economy. We can't let Washington bureaucrats or out-of-state activists hold us back from reaching our potential. But there's even more to this than just jobs and resources. It's about our families. Together we can make Ohio a state we're proud to call home. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless Ohio. So that will wrap up our 3 candidates for governor. Again, we'll vote those after we've heard from the other 5 races, and we'll go, the Central Committee will go into executive session to discuss all 6 at that time. So without further ado, Marcel Strivick and Robert Sprague.
Hi, everybody. I know that many of you have never seen me. Maybe you've heard me. My name is Marcel Sturvich. I retired 20 years from the Air Force, and my family is now here in Montgomery County, and I'm raising 3 children, 2, 6, and 8. I'm a first-time political outsider. I'm not a career politician. I reached a point, like many of you, asking ourselves, how many more rotations are we going to have of Columbus folks who are stepping into those roles because of term limits? I'm here quite simply to do this, not for position, not for power. I want to address the issues and fix the problems in the election systems. This is something we have a limited time to do. I personally was affected and saw for myself in that time in the military what elections that go wrong happened with the military when we started to incorporate DEI, when we started to push people out because of COVID. And I realized that if this is the path that we're going to be on and the election systems are going to be the front of that, we're going to be in trouble. So I started to get involved in that role. I spent first 10 years fighting in Iraq, Afghanistan, and the Horn of Africa. I worked with Army Rangers. I embedded and worked with the best. High-risk missions, tough stuff, And I was able to achieve and conquer and get as many of our people back home, take the fight. The next 10 years I spent working with emerging and disruptive technologies. I worked with the Vice Chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff. You don't get to that level, you become a lieutenant colonel, if you're not capable and you're not able to do very difficult things in uncertain times. That's what it's going to take in Ohio to address these issues. Here are the issues. We are registering people onto our voter rolls before we qualify them for eligibility. That's a huge issue that we have to then deal with after the fact. There's no reason for that if we can provide the Board of Elections identity, residency, and citizenship. I started working on that issue for 3 years in Montgomery County. I produced 3 election bills. I didn't just talk about it, and I'm not telling you tonight that I'm going to do all these things. I've actually done it. But as a constituent dad, I couldn't get Columbus to listen to me. So then I took my issue to the national level. I went to the White House. President Trump's national security advisor brought me into there and talked about the implementation of his executive order. And now we're starting to make progress. Now we're pushing the envelope. We need that. We need a copy of a photo ID when people vote by mail. We don't have that in Ohio, and 1 million Ohioans are voting in that way. We have third-party voter groups that are defrauding us in Hamilton County. There's no coincidence that there's hardly Republicans there. That's happening in Cuyahoga. I know how to deal with that issue, and I also propose legislation. We have to be firm. We have to be bold. This is our opportunity. If we don't address it now when President Trump's in office, when are we going to address it, folks? We don't need 28 days of early in-person voting. We can do election day. It's okay if you can't get to the polls. We'll keep a system of 28 days, but we're going to do ballot excuse like we did for 100 years in this country. Pre-printed hand-markable paper ballots. You want to save money in Brown County? You're going to save a ton of money in that way. That's something that we have to consider. But we got to work with the BOEs. We can't do everything overnight. It's not going to work in a wet manner that they can't keep up. So we're going to do it gradually. We're going to lead the way in Ohio. Let me talk a little bit about why we can win this race. Because some are going to suggest tonight, and maybe another time, that I cannot beat the Democrat. Let me tell you something. I have been on the campaign trail for 10 months. I've gone to 50 counties, and I've raised hundreds of volunteers. Some of you know me in this room. Some of you are volunteering for my candidacy. If you want to win, like Vivek was talking about, and others were talking about, you need enthusiasm. You need candidates that go out there and engage with the people. I talk about Somali thought. I'm not one of these guys that rotated in 2020 when they shut down our state and they were silent. Now they're still running. What happens if we have another instance like that? Are they going to speak out? You don't have that issue with me because I've already compromised my career in the military to fight with General Ellis and others so that we have a country in the future. And that's the type of person with fire in their belly that we're going to need against that Democrat. And I got $700,000 in cash, and we have 4,600 donors, $68 a pop. That's real votes, folks. That's what's going to win it. And that's the key here that I want to emphasize. I also have a poll. That poll shows that even though I've only been in this race 10 months, I have equal name ID to my opponent who has been spending millions of dollars in his career and underperformed his fellow peers in 2022. What does that say? That says that people are hearing from me, they feel it, they want this, we are not going to have another chance at that. And so we're also up by 8 in that poll. So this is a key endorsement for me. Butler County gave me 70% of their Central Committee vote. I'm honored to have one of their Central Committee members here, Gary Cates. They recognize that this is what it's going to take, and we have to be strong, we have to be fearless in this approach. Ohio can be the model for every single state. All I'm asking for tonight is your chance to bring a young guy, a fresh guy with the military service who is doing this at great cost and burden to his family because I believe. They tried to drive me out of this race this last week. I didn't accept it because I don't compromise my principles. It's a rarity when somebody like me comes into this field. Okay, so please allow me to serve you because this is my cause, this is my purpose. God bless you, you're working people, you're Christians, you're people of faith down here, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. My name is Marcel Sturbich. I humbly ask for the privilege to serve you as your next Secretary of State on May 5th, and I will get the job done for you, and we will move the ball down the field. Thank you.
Treasurer Sprague.
I think the representative made me step outside. He said those were the rules, so I'm sorry. Come on up here.
Adam's done this a time or two.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. My name is Robert Sprague, and I was talking to the chairman earlier. He said, Robert, look, you're going to have a hard time. People here, they are done with Columbus. They're tired of Columbus. All the money goes to the 3C. And I said, that's great, because guess what? I'm not from Columbus, Ohio. I'm from a little town.
just like you. I live in Findlay, Ohio with my wife Amanda and our 5 kids. And let me tell you, in the treasurer's office, we did things for rural counties, like Brown County. Here's what we did. You know, everybody else was giving money to the 3 Cs and giving money to the data centers in terms of tax breaks. You know what we did in the treasurer's office? We created a program to help Appalachian kids in 13 of the smallest counties get eyeglasses. 3,950 kids in middle school got eyeglasses because of our Vision to Learn program. You know, we created programs not for big data centers. We created programs in the state treasurer's office for small businesses. Any of you small business owners here? You can get up to a 3% interest rate reduction on a 2-year loan up to $1 million because of the Buckeye Business Advantage program that we just launched. It's not for big corporations, it's for small companies. Why? Because in my community of Findlay, Ohio and Hancock County, it's small businesses that we want to see grow in our community. You know, when I'm treasurer, we have 5 children, I'm very pro-life. And we created a brand new program to encourage adoption in the state of Ohio, so that families that want to adopt a child can get a loan. Those are the things that I've done in the state treasurer's office. Now, let me just tell you a little bit where I was last night. Last night I was on the gallery in the National Congress in the Representatives Gallery. And I was witnessing the passage of the SAVE Act, which begins to secure our elections to make sure that only citizens can vote in each and every state in the United States of America. Now listen, my job for Ernst & Young, I used to work for Ernst & Young, I installed accounting systems at some of the largest corporations in the United States of America and around the world. And the first question that all these corporations want to ask was, how do we prevent fraud out of our accounting system? I want us to take that same proven private sector leadership and apply it for you in the Secretary of State's office to fight voter fraud, ladies and gentlemen. And it begins with this. Here's how we do it. We move to a front-end citizenship check to make sure that only American citizens can vote in Ohio elections. The second thing we do is we move to all paper ballots in every election in every county in the state of Ohio. Why? Because when you have a separate printed paper ballot and you submit it to a locked box that's guarded by a Republican and a Democrat, you know what you've just created? A perfect and immutable auditor. And you can't fool me with the machines because I'm going to go back and count the paper. So we'll make sure that when we count the paper, the machines are 100% accurate and you can trust the elections in the state of Ohio. The third thing we're going to do, we're going to create an internal audit department to finally clean the voter rolls in the state of Ohio. And we're going to go through, and let me tell you, part of this is finding illegal immigrants or non-citizens that are on the voter rolls and people that have passed away that we need to take off the voter rolls. But quite frankly, there's also a residency requirement that a lot of people violate when they vote, and that's the key fraud that happens here in the state of Ohio. We're going to find it through this internal audit committee, and we're going to clean up those voter rolls. And the final thing is, you know, in the first 200 years of our existence as Ohioans, you know how we voted? We voted in person. That's what I did it when I was a kid. I went with my dad to Jefferson Elementary School. We all voted in person, didn't we? I want to see us return to in-person voting here in the state of Ohio so that everybody has to show their photo ID. We know that you are who you say you are when you show that photo ID. Let's reserve those mail-in ballots that are prone to fraud for only people that have valid excuses. The Republicans changed this in 2005 to no-fault absentee voting. If we change it to no-fault absentee voting through the mail, we can change it back again to get people to the polls in person where they're showing their photo ID. That's my plan. All right, so let me tell you just a little bit about electability. I'm from a little town in northwest Ohio. When I was running first time statewide for the treasurer's office and I came down here to ask you for your endorsement the first time, they told me I couldn't win in Columbus. You know why? Because I'm from a small town. They said, you don't come from a big DMA. You don't come from Columbus or Cleveland. You can't win. I said, well, I'm just going to represent my conservative values and we'll see what happens. In 2018, I was the top vote getter in the state of Ohio. I got more votes than Mike DeWine. I got more votes than Keith Faber, more votes than Frank LaRose. Frank LaRose, the current Secretary of State, has endorsed me because he knows what I've done in the Treasurer's office. he knows I'm a competent, proven leader, and that's what I'm going to do in the Secretary of State's office. I've been endorsed by Adam Burr because he knows the work that we've done in the Treasurer's office, and he knows that I'm going to uphold what is right and good in the Secretary of State's office. Let me tell you what, the Democrat who's going to be against us in the Secretary of State race, her name is Allison Russo. And she is leftist, and let me tell you, she is going to politicize this office just like Sherrod Brown did when he was Secretary of State, just like Jennifer Brunner did when she was Secretary of State, and Allison Russo will gut the voter ID laws of the state of Ohio. You'll no longer have to show photo ID. She'll allow non-citizens to vote in our state, and she'll mail everyone a ballot. We cannot have it. She will return us to the voting practices of California and New York and the other places the Democrats have won. We cannot allow her to win. All right, let me tell you about one more thing. They filed a libertarian in the Secretary of State race. You know why? The libertarian takes 4% of the vote. So whoever runs in this race is going to start out 4% behind. They know that they probably can't win the governorship. And so their key races here are Sherrod Brown at the top of the ticket and then the Secretary of State's race. I'm the only candidate in this race with the name ID, 88 county network, the campaign team, and quite frankly, the war chest and the fiscal resources to be able to run an energetic and successful 88 county campaign. And if you endorse me tonight, I will fight for you in the Secretary of State's office. I will fight for this party, and we will win this race. Robert Sprague, thank you very much. So as Treasurer Sprague said, we'll ask Colleen O'Donnell to step outside. Andrew King's going to go first. Jill Flagg-Lanzinger is not here, so you're just going to hear from Andrew, Judge King, and Colleen O'Donnell. So, Andrew, the floor is yours.
Well, good evening. As was mentioned, my name is Andrew King. I'm currently a Court of Appeals judge, and I'm running to be your next Ohio Supreme Court Justice. As Robert Sprague mentioned, I think that's an important race, but this year the Supreme Court race is important. It's important because we need to beat the last incumbent Democrat in the state, Jennifer Burr. And more than that, we need to replace her with not just a Republican, we need to replace her with a constitutional conservative. And you heard Judge Byrne talk about what that looks like, and that's why I'm running. I am running to be a constitutional conservative on the court. So that means I'm an originalist. It means that I love the Constitution. I have trust and faith that what the founders did was the right thing. And the words they put in there have significance. I don't get to, as a judge, come through and update. That's the amendment process. That's not the judicial process. Also, being a constitutional conservative means you let legislators legislate. You have Representative Byrd, Representative Pizzulli, they go to Columbus and represent you. They write those laws. We as judges merely apply them and give force to them. We don't get to come back in with a red pen and say, you know what, we went to law school, we know better, we're going to change this. That is not at all our role. And in fact, that's an inversion of what our role is. And we've seen a lot of that, haven't we? We turn on the news, we see judges all over trying to tell legislators, presidents, governors, how to run their business. Not applying the law, not interpreting the law, trying to make policy decisions and be politicians and rogues and legislate from the bench. So you will not get that from me. I'm a current Court of Appeals judge. I wake up, I go to work, and I apply those principles all the time, every time. And as Judge Byrd mentioned, you can pull the cases up and look for yourself. Beyond being a Court of Appeals judge, I'm a former prosecutor. And I believe that of the three candidates tonight, I'm the only former prosecutor. And I think that's important because first and foremost, as a prosecutor, it's where you learn to be sort of like a judge. You can't take people's life, liberty, and property because you don't like their last name. You don't like their party. And we've seen some of that, right? Who your last name is, your party, you ran for president, you challenged an election, we're going to pull you into court. That's not what you want as a prosecutor. You want someone that's going to be fair, someone that's going to follow the law and do what's right. And that's what I learned as a prosecutor, and I carry it with me as a judge. But more than that, if you elect me, I'll be the fourth former prosecutor on the Supreme Court. So the first time in a long time, we'll have 4 people that have taken a case to a jury trial, that have sat across from a victim of horrific crimes, that have worked with law enforcement to work cases up. And I've handled high-profile cases, including prosecuting a city sheriff who spent election night in jail because of the work that my boss and I did with the BCI. So I understand what it takes on the criminal justice side of it. You know, like a lot of you here, I'm conservative in my personal life. So that means I'm pro-God, pro-family, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment. I mean, really, all amendments, right? And we don't want just one, we want all of them to be given effect. But, you know, I've been married to my wife for 30 years. We've got 2 grown kids. I've been involved in right to life issues. Spoke just last year, one of the March for Life. CHL holder, concealed carry from the very beginning, gun owner, life member of the NRA, endorsed by Buckeye Farms in my last race. So when I tell you that I believe these things, I'm not just telling you, I can show this to you. In addition, I've been a member of the Federalist Society, the preeminent legal, conservative legal group. I joined that my first semester at law school. I stood up and said, hey, I'm a conservative. I believe in these principles. I don't care what you leftist progressives think. And I was later president of that organization, and now I'm the faculty advisor. I get to teach those law students and inculcate these constitutional principles. And sort of, you know, to sort of bring this home, I don't know where I'm at on time, but to sort of bring it home, at least start to bring it home, is that I spent the last year traveling around the state. I believe in being a lunch pail kind of judge. I'm the only person in this race that never was appointed by a governor. Some folks received an appointment from DeWine, and one person from DeWine, 2 from Kasich. I never did. I ran. You know what? I wasn't successful the first time. It's a 15-county district, 1.5 million people. You know what I did? I ran again. I won in a primary, and I beat an incumbent Democrat. And not everyone can say that they beat an incumbent Democrat. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here, is beat an incumbent Democrat. So I've done that before. I've traveled the state. I've met Garrett Capes. So, I mean, I've been to all 88 counties last year, went to almost 60 Lincoln dinners. And that effort isn't just showing up and buying a dinner. Because of that, folks around the state have begun to support me in my candidacy. So I was endorsed by Claremont County, Butler County, Monroe County, Washington County, and then here in the South and Southeast, I have the support of a number of chairs, such as Scioto, Hocking, Pike, and then on up like Pickaway. So I've put in the work. I'm going to continue to do the work, and you can be proud of what I'm doing. And finally, I am proud to say all 3 times that Trump was on the ballot, I voted for President Trump. So I've been a supporter of President Trump. I'm happy to say that. I believe I'm the kind of judge that President Trump would support. And while I've never had the opportunity to work for him, and no one in this race has ever worked for President Trump, I am happy that I cast that vote. So again, I am running to be your constitutional conservative on the Ohio Supreme Court, and I ask for your support tonight so that I can continue to represent folks in red counties and conservative areas and tell those folks in Columbus we're going to have a conservative justice on the Ohio Supreme Court. So thank you, and again, Andrew King.
Next up, Colleen O'Donnell.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be back in Brown County. I see a lot of familiar faces from my previous visits down here, as I've been crisscrossing the state for just about a year, visiting as many counties as possible. We're at 80 plus. Not at all 88 yet, but we're getting close. My name is Colleen O'Donnell, and I'm humbly asking for your endorsement this evening to earn our Republican Party's nomination to unseat the last Democrat serving on our Supreme Court. In the short term, the race this year will allow our Republican Party to claim all 7 seats on the Supreme Court. But it's important for us to think long term and to be mindful that in just 2 short years, we're going to see 3 Supreme Court seats on our November ballots. So winning this race in 2026 is critical for our party to maintain a 4-person Republican majority on the court. With more than 10 years prior judicial experience between my service in the Franklin County Common Pleas Court, where I tried well over 100 cases to verdict and put hundreds of felons behind bars, and my prior service as a federal immigration judge out in Laredo, Texas, a few miles off the Mexican border, where I heard immigration cases, asylum cases day in and day out, and I never granted asylum a single time. I have the experience, the temperament, the name ID, the fundraising prowess, and a fire in the belly to win this primary in May and to beat the Democrat in November. Recently, we filed our campaign finance reports, and my team and I are very proud and grateful to the people across the state of Ohio because we raised the most money of anyone in this primary race, and we raised that money from the most number of individual contributors. Rather than loan myself or my committee a large sum of money, we took the candidacy out to the people across the state, and we let the market talk. We raised the most money by a long shot, and we had the most contributors. So we know that the message is resonating with Ohioans, and we're grateful. Judicial campaigns are about experience, philosophy, electability, and integrity. Now, regrettably, recently, some of my opponents in this race have started mischaracterizing my record and my background. So I want to be crystal clear with you folks tonight because I value transparency and I value the truth. I am a lifelong conservative Republican. I come from a law and order family. My father served as a judge in the state of Ohio for 38 years, culminating his service with 16 years as a Supreme Court Justice. Currently, he's retired, but many of you may know retired Justice Terrence O'Donnell and likely helped get him elected. My late grandfather walked the beat. He was a Cleveland police officer for 33 years. So law and order is instinctual to me, it makes sense to me, and it's what I know. I am an active member of the Federalist Society and have been for years. When I was asked in 2022 if I would consider changing my party affiliation from a Republican to a Democrat in order to increase the odds of winning re-election in the very blue Franklin County where I live, I told the newspaper, not in this lifetime, because I'm not a Democrat. I don't think like the liberals and the progressives think. And I told folks I would rather lose the race with integrity than to win with no spine. And I believe that. My commitment to public service, particularly in the judiciary, is unwavering. So when I heard the call that our country needed more immigration judges to adjudicate the millions of asylum claims that were piling up due to our open, porous southern border, I stepped up to be a part of the solution to this national crisis. Rather than just sit watching TV with my jaw gaping and complaining about what I was seeing, I got up and did something about it. I got a little apartment and I bought a little used car and I moved 1,500 miles from my home and my family so that I could adjudicate those claims and sort out whether or not all those migrants that came across the border deserved the grant of asylum that they sought. And while I certainly knew and had my experience from Franklin County, I know how to approach a case with impartiality and with an open mind. And I know how to interpret the law, not to inject my feelings into it or my emotions. As a result of my service as a federal immigration judge, I never granted asylum a single time. The chairman of my campaign committee this year is America's sheriff, Butler County's own Sheriff Richard K. Jones, the gentleman we see on Fox News so frequently with the 10-gallon hat, a national icon dedicated to combating illegal immigration into our country. I recently was honored with an endorsement from Ohio Value Voters, the socially conservative group specifically dedicated to protecting faith, family, freedom, and the sanctity of every human life. I believe these endorsements speak to my pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, conservative, Republican values, and to my record. My opponent's chatter to the contrary is meaningless noise. I am running to serve on the Supreme Court of Ohio because I respect our Constitution, I respect the rule of law, and I respect the three separate co-equal branches of government, meaning I emphatically reject the idea that a judge should legislate from the bench. Legislation happens in the State House, not in the courthouse. I'm Colleen O'Donnell, and I'd be honored to add your names to the list of folks who are endorsing and supporting my candidacy to serve on the Supreme Court. Thank you very much.
Next up is the Ohio Treasurer race, Senator Christina Rogner, and Jay Edwards. Jay Edwards is not here tonight. He is represented by the name of Tice Pat. He's here, so Tice, if you could step out while Christina, Senator Rogner is coming on up.
Good evening, Brown County. I am State Senator Christina Rogner. It's an honor to be here tonight with you, and I'm running to be our next Treasurer of State. So as I think through things that would be important as you consider who you're going to endorse in this race, certainly experience matters, and of course philosophy, electability, what they're going to do in the Treasurer's office, and then are they trustworthy? So let me hit those in that order. So in terms of experience, I started out as a mechanical engineer. I love math and science, used to rebuild turbines and generators across this great country at nuclear power plants. Did that for almost 4 years. Went back then to the Wharton School of Business. It's the #1 business school in the country, to earn my MBA in finance. And from there, I went to work at McKinsey & Company's, a management consulting firm. I also started my small business. Although when I was at McKinsey, and you guys have all these on your desk, so that's me. On the back, I met my husband. My husband's an easy one to pick out. He's, of course, long, no hair. And then we've got 3 grown daughters. And I left McKinsey to raise those girls. It was one of the hardest decisions I made at the time because up to that point, I worked my whole life to get to that point in my career. But I am so glad I did, because those 3 girls are strong Christian conservatives to this day. And I'm so proud of them. My husband and I also fostered 2 young children. In 2024, we welcomed a 3-year-old girl and a 5-year-old boy into our home, and we had them for a full year. And they're still in my life. In fact, I just had them again last weekend, so I see them like a couple weekends a month. So I also then, I did go back when the kids were young to Hudson City Council. It was 1 night a week. I could do it. My mom would watch the kids, my husband would watch the kids. And I realized then on Hudson City Council that you can make a difference in the lives of people. I was elected twice to Hudson City Council, and then I was asked to run for the Ohio State House. I come from Hudson, Ohio. I live in some county. Akron is in my backyard. It is a blue county. It is tough to win as a conservative. But I ousted a Democrat by the grace of God, and I do give God the glory for every single one of my elections. At the end of the day, Jesus is my king, and we are here to serve him. But we won that election in the House. We won 4 times in the House, and it fell back to the Democrats after I was term limited out. I've been in the Senate now for a little over 7 years, and since I've been in the legislature, I'd like to share with you just some of the things we've done. Representative Byrd mentioned some of those items, including passing Senate Bill 1, which came through my committee. We got DEI out of higher ed. I also chair general government, and about 2 years ago, we got biological males out of girls' sports. We prohibited transgender surgeries. When Amy Acton was shutting down the state, Senator McCauley and I said, oh no, can't do that. So we sponsored a bill to open the state back up. It was unfortunately vetoed after we got it to the House and Senate, but we came back again. We did it again with Senate Bill 22, came to my committee, we got expedited through, it was vetoed the 2nd time. But we overrode the veto. We're like, we believe we're Americans, we believe in freedom and liberty, and we cannot lock the state down. And I'm also a strong Second Amendment supporter, a lifetime NRA member, and we passed constitutional carry stand your ground. I was happy to co-sponsor all of that. And right now, I have, there's so much to talk about, I don't have the time, but I have a bill that will support what President Trump is doing with illegal immigration to support our ICE officers over here, because there are some activist judges that are trying to create sanctuary courthouses and sanctuary parking lots. And we're like, no, if you're here illegally, you committed a crime, you are not privileged from arrest. So I'm happy to do all of that. The treasurer's office. So it's important as the next treasurer that you elect someone that has the experience, which I do, that shares your values, which I do. That has also is all about transparency. And I know it was talked a little bit earlier about the NDA, agreements and the bill that Representative Byrd sponsored. I think it's House Bill 695. It's a very good bill, and I looked it over today, and I'm happy to support that when it comes to the Senate. But transparency in government has been a theme of mine ever since I was on Hudson City Council. When I first came on, they didn't televise their workshops. Then one of the first things that we did after I was elected was to say, no, we're going to televise this so that people can see what we're talking about and what's happening in local government. And then one of the first things I did as I was elected to the House of Representatives is get Ohio's checkbook online, so you can see how we're spending our money. And as your next treasurer, I'd like to continue that and expand that then to schools and municipalities, because you deserve to know it's your money. You deserve to know how it's being spent. Also, unclaimed funds. That is something that I believe is also your money. That is, it's over $4.8 billion. If you haven't already done so, Google unclaimed funds, Ohio, and then put in your last name and first name. You might be surprised. But as your next treasurer, right now we have legislation to move it from the Department of Commerce, where it just sits passively, over to the treasurer's office. If we can get that done, which I'm optimistic we can, then I'll be able to be very proactive as your next treasurer and try to identify, say, hey, listen, you have some money here, you might want to come and claim it. It's probably yours. So the last thing I want to say then is I've been endorsed by every single county, and I'm grateful for that has had an endorsement process side by side, including Williams, Summit, Butler, Claremont, Washington, Madison, and just 2 nights ago, Preble County. And I would be absolutely honored to have your endorsement as well. I'm grateful that you have Turning Point here today. One of Charlie Kirk's favorite verses is one of mine as well, and that's Isaiah 6:8. And it says, and I heard the Lord ask, whom shall we send? Who will go for us? And I said, here I am, Lord, send me. That is my mission, that is my prayer every day, that God would use me wherever I am, wherever He has me. My name is Christina Rogner. It's a tough name. Just remember, go Rogue. God bless each and every one of you. Good night.
Now, on behalf of Jay Edwards, Tice Pat.
Good afternoon, Brown County. It's so great to be back in God's country. You might remember me. A couple of years ago, I was standing in this very room when we were fighting to get Tim O'Hara and Bernie Marino the endorsement of this very committee, and I'm glad to say that they both received that endorsement. My name is Tice Pat. I'm here to represent my friend Jay Edwards, who's running to be our next state treasurer. So let me tell you a little bit about Jay. I'm kind of boring. I don't want to tell you too much about myself. So Jay Edwards is a native son of Southern Ohio. He's the only person on the statewide ballot that is born and raised in Southern Ohio and has fought tirelessly for us down here in Southern Ohio. Jay, when he was my age, just 26 years old, he graduated from Ohio University. I know it's crazy, Republican from Ohio U. Me and him might be some of the only ones that exist. But at 26 years old, right after getting his mathematics degree from Ohio University, Jay Edwards in 2016 was inspired to run for state representative by Donald Trump, who was also running in 2016. At that time, our state rep district, was held by a Democrat. Nobody really believed that the Athens district could be flipped and turn Republican. Jay proved them all wrong, and he flipped that district, and he served for 8 years fighting for us in Southeast Ohio every day. As his last term as a state rep, Jay made his way up onto leadership and he became the finance chair. While Jay was the finance chair, he got done and he delivered the biggest income tax in Ohio's history. Not only that, he delivered school choice and historic funding across Southern Ohio. After being turned out of the House of Representatives, the state house, and serving 8 years, Jay didn't know if he wanted to stay in politics. We were trying to encourage him as his friends, and we all loved him, and we wanted him to keep doing it. But Jay never wanted to have a career in politics. He wanted to do his time, make his impact, and get out. But when Jay watched this last year, after he was turned out and he wasn't in the state house anymore, he watched our fellow Southern Ohioans, us down here that have been forgotten about for too long. We are suffering. Our property taxes are out of control. People can't afford anything. And what does our state legislature do? They give $600 million to the Cleveland Browns of our tax dollars. I don't think that's very conservative, and Jay doesn't either. And that's what inspired Jay to finally get in the race and run for state treasurer. So let me tell you a little bit about what Jay wants to do as state treasurer. So the state treasurer handles all the state's tax dollars and deposits, billions of dollars. Most of that money is held in the big banks, like Bank of America and these large banks. And what do we know they do? They debank our conservative organizations like the NRA, like Turning Point USA. They don't stand for what we believe in, and there's no reason that Ohio's tax dollars, our tax dollars, should be housed in those banks. When we have great banks, great local banks right here in our own communities where you can walk in and shake someone's hand and they know you. They keep that money in these communities and they reinvest in our communities. Our biggest goal with the state treasurer's office is to take those public deposits and move them back into the rural communities, back into our local banks, and keep our money in Ohio. Not in the hands of people who want to destroy our way of life and hate everything that we stand for. They want you to have so many DEI requirements to get loans, ESG, which we've heard about. Multiple states have got rid of it, and Ohio needs to be next. So, as you see, Jay is endorsed by Senator Marino, an American First Warrior, and we haven't got to update our lit yet, but you might have seen last week that Jay got the endorsement of Vice President J.D. Vance. And we're so proud to be endorsed by J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance knows that Jay is the only person in this race that'll fight for America First values and will always stick up for the forgotten people of Ohio. Thank you for having me tonight. God bless Brown County and God bless America.
Two races remain. The next race is State Central Committeeman. Greg Lang had a prior commitment tonight due to the snow. He had to make up a class that he's taking, so he will not be present for either the State Central Committeeman or Brown County Commissioners. So the candidates will be Joe Eager, Josh Barnes, and Chris Hicks. And Josh and Chris, I ask that you leave, go outside while Mr. Eager is speaking, and then Mr. Eager will get Josh, and so forth. Again, our former state senator, Joe Eager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Central Committee, fellow Republicans. I'm Joe Eager, and I'm running for the State Central Committee because this position is far too important to be treated as ceremonial, experimental, or entry level. The State Central Committee is the command center of the Ohio Republican Party. It recruits candidates, shapes policy, directs strategy, and controls millions of dollars of campaign spending. This is where we either win elections or we lose them. And in the presidential cycle, with Ohio hosting the home state top candidate, there is zero margin for error. This is not a job for learning curves. It's not a role for resume building. It demands proven leadership, tested judgment, and real political and policy experience. For more than 30 years, I have delivered exactly that. I have served as township trustee, state representative, and your state senator. I won 16 elections, primaries and generals, and I've governed through boom times, recessions, political battles, and major policy fights. I've negotiated budgets, passed conservative reforms, and taken tough votes when it mattered most. And when corruption threatened Ohio taxpayers, I didn't blink. In 2019, House Bill 6 became one of the largest public corruption scandals in American political history. While others bowed to pressure, I spoke out and voted no, because I refuse to sell out taxpayers, no matter how powerful the interests that are involved. That vote sent politicians to prison and protected Ohio families from billions in corporate bailouts. That is what conservative leadership looks like. The Ohio Republican Party is entering one of the most critical election cycles in history. We will manage enormous financial resources. We will shape state party policy. We will recruit candidates who must win, not just run. Experience is not optional. It is essential. That's why I'm running. I am fully retired, fully committed, and fully prepared to dedicate my time to the fiscal, the policy, and the strategic work this position and office demands. I bring decades of legislative and party experience, a proven conservative voting record, and a backbone to make hard decisions. Let me be clear. Experience matters. Leadership matters. Judgment matters. I respect anyone willing to step forward and serve, but this race requires more than good intentions. I bring 30 years of tested conservative leadership, successful elections, and the governing experience this moment demands. The stakes are simply too high to gamble. I believe in transparent government, in live streaming meetings, in limiting non-disclosure agreements, and in putting taxpayers, not insiders, first. I believe in economic development that protects communities, energy policy that protects families, and Republican leadership that wins elections and governs boldly. And so I'll close with this. This is not the time to experiment. It is the time to lead. If you want proven leadership that wins, I respectfully ask for your endorsement and your vote. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Josh Barnes.
All right. Hi, everybody. Honored to be here tonight. Thank you for having me. So the biggest takeaway from President Trump's victory in 2024 is that young voters are not locked in by the Democrats. The Republican Party has spent years worrying about losing the younger generation to the Democrats. Trump showed us that it doesn't have to be that way. This is critically important to the future of the Republican Party, and that is why I became the president of the Claremont County Young Republicans. I was the first member to join besides the founders, of course. And after I took over, my team and I have grown it to one of the largest young Republicans groups in Southwest Ohio. They may have murdered Charlie Kirk, but they will never be able to kill his legacy as long as groups like ours exist. So why should you endorse me? I am leading the charge to connect young people to the Republican Party, and I can do so much more of that at the state level. Second, we have to elect good candidates. That's what State Central Committee is all about. Getting strong candidates with the right values elected. Passion helps, but ultimately it doesn't win races. Strategy does. Legislative experience doesn't win races. Strategy does. I've spent years working alongside many of you, many people in Claremont, learning from some of the best on how to win elections. Bottom line, this seat needs someone with energy, passion, work ethic, to stop the Democrats and elect Republicans and save our great state of Ohio. And I'm going to end with my personal reasons for running. We're all aware of the transgender child abuse cult that exists on the left. Well, I'll tell you this. A young relative of mine has been, quote unquote, socially transitioned by his mother since he was 4 years old. That child is now 12. The systems that were supposed to be in place to protect him failed. And he has been whisked away to California to begin the process of medical transition. I bring this up because Sherrod Brown supports this. Amy Acton supports this. Allison Russo supports this. We cannot allow our state to fall into the hands of people who are this morally bankrupt. And that is why you can be assured that if you endorse me for State Central Committee and I am elected to that office, I will fight, fight, fight. Thank you, everybody.
Our last candidate for State Central Committee, Chris Hicks.
Thank you, Chairman Owens, and thank you, members of the Brown County Central Committee. I think you're probably going to endorse Greg Lang. Yeah, because Greg, really his son, Eric Lang, I think everybody should be proud of Eric Lang and what he's doing on Mount Orb Council to say enough is enough and we're not going to go along with this. He's a representative of the people, not of other interests. So I know Greg Lang is running, he's one of your own, and I would love, I'm a Claremont County guy, but I would love to see either me or Greg Lang at State Central Committee, because I think either one of us would be people that would really work for real reform. Because let's face it, the swamp of Ohio Republican politics starts at the State Central Committee. It has for years. It's the musical chairs operation. It's the people that gives us the same retread candidates over and over again. And it's involved in all kind of corruption. I believe that one of the former chairs is in prison right now for being involved in corruption. And we'll see how things work out with Mr. Granafilo, who could not have maintained being chair in Hamilton County where the Republican Party is destroyed, so they move him up to be head of the whole party for our state. So let me talk a little bit about me, but more about, what I think needs to happen with some of these things. First off, make sure you follow the watchdog wire. Second off, Judge Val Lewis made some comment about people could be critical, but he wasn't going to be critical. He was going to bring the good things. I'm the guy who'll be critical. Okay, because I think we need criticism for accountability in our system. We don't have accountability in our political system, especially on things that the voters don't know that much about, like State Central Committee. So our current male State Central Committee member, Greg Simpson, a man of patronage, has always been a man of patronage, takes gubernatorial appointments. But did you know that he also was involved in a plot threatening my son and me, was interviewed by the sheriff, lied up, down, left, and right. The sheriff wanted him charged in Claremont County. You can go check it out. Chairman Owens can tell you all about it. He knows about it. And the prosecutor, Mark Colby, because the political system is such a swamp in Claremont County, would not charge him. He's a protected man. That's the kind of people we don't need. Now, all respect to Senator Eaker. Remember, Senator Eaker resigned his office so that Terry Johnson could be appointed senator and then funded with $500,000 of caucus money, because that's another ugly thing that happens in Columbus. The money that donors are giving isn't used to fight Democrats. It's used to buy loyal Republicans that vote the way they're told. These are the things that need to change. Now, Josh Barnes, Josh is a really nice young guy. I don't think he's fully figured out how corrupt the Claremont system is. He's a little bit, every now and then he'll talk to me, and I think he's get it over time. I don't think he's there yet. I think they're afraid, though, that he might get it, and that's why they went Joe Eaker there. By the way, watch what happens in these State Central Committee races. There's no campaign finance reporting. All of a sudden, there'll be a bunch of mailers for somebody. Don't vote for that person. Those are being funded by shadowy groups in Columbus that are buying the State Central Committee for the insiders in Columbus. So, State Central Committee, if you're not that familiar with it, does things like endorse candidates very early. They endorse Supreme Court justices way before the filing deadline to stifle competition in statewide races. Those are the kind of things that need to end. They participate in this kind of corrupt campaign finance stuff that goes on. We know because the former chair's in prison over it. That kind of stuff's got to end. We need to have a system in Ohio that welcomes talent and is based on merit, not based on cronyism and musical chairs. What job are you going to take next when your term limited? There's a lot of things we need to fix and change. I think I'd be the best one to fix it. Second to me, I think Greg Lang would be the best one to fix it because he's not going to be tied into some of the political factions, particularly Claremont County, and then the other guys. So I'd encourage you to either put down Greg Lang or me on your card, but I appreciate Greg Lang is your local guy. And I really appreciate his son, Eric Lang, getting a quick lesson that we all need to take, and all of our politicians need to take, of what it means to represent the people. And not be a sucker, not be an idiot signing an NDA. I know Eric signed one, but he renounced it. Not become part of that system from day one when you get in office. I can guarantee you, if I were on the state Senate committee, I'm not going to become one of those people on day one. I don't think I'll become one of those people on day 1200. So thank you very much for your time. And thank your Chairman Owens for letting me live stream this. And thank you guys for having an open endorsement meeting where you let the public come in, which Claremont County refuses to do. Thank you, guys.
For the main event, the Brown County Commissioner race, and then so we have, again, I told you, as I said, Greg Lang couldn't make it tonight. We have 3 individuals will be speaking: Frank Fussnacker, Paul Riley, and Zach Thatcher. I'll ask Paul and Zach to go outside while we wait for Frank to speak. Each person has 5 minutes. And then after that, we will entertain a motion to go into executive session. And then Gabe from Turning Point will speak for a couple minutes. And then hopefully we'll be back out here and do some voting.
Turn the mic down. There you go.
Can you hear me now? Good evening.
My name is Frank Fussnacker, and I'm excited to announce I am running for commissioner of Brown County. And I have considered running for many a year, but I just didn't have the time to do that with all the other commitments. But at this point in my life, I've got to the point where I think I'm going to have the time and the energy to do that. I am invested in the future of our county because of my business that is based here and my involvement in many local organizations. Running a large farm operation has taught me financial responsibility, critical decision-making, and the ability to work with others. I was born and raised in Brown County. I take a lot of pride in having raised my 4 children here in Brown County. I have served as a Franklin Township trustee for 26 years now. And through my time with the township, I have proven my dedication, my ability to work with the public and higher levels of government. As a trustee, I have helped obtain funding for a new township building, updated equipment, and maintaining the infrastructure of our township. I'm a member of the Brown County Rural Water Association Board, the Ohio Township Association, the Ohio Farm Bureau, the Ohio Farmers Union, and have served as usher at St. George Catholic Church, a member there for many years. I pride myself in being an honest and dependable person. I believe in responsible budgeting, protecting the taxpayers' dollars, and making smart investments in public safety, infrastructure, and the economic development. We need growth that strengthens our community and attracts good paying jobs while balancing farmland preservation. In closing, I would like to say that this campaign is about the future of Brown County and the legacy we leave to the next generation. I'm ready to serve, ready to listen, and ready to lead. I thank you all for your time, your trust, and your belief in this campaign. At this time, I would like to ask for your recommendation. Thank you.
Oh, wow, you guys done gave me a microphone. Wow. My name is Paul Riley. I'm running for the Brown County Commissioner seat this election cycle. For simply put, I'm sick of the lack of transparency. I'm sick of the lies. You know, I've been sitting on the couch now for many years here in Brown County. While I did not grow up here, I have raised all of my kids here. They've all been to the school. I've been here and I've watched the jail close down. I've watched the hospital close down. I've watched so many things that happen, and I didn't understand what was going on when those things were happening. I was young, I was ignorant, a little rough around the edges. Some might argue that I'm still a little rough around the edges. I think that's kind of what we need today, though. You know, I've been watching these politics, and right now, I can tell everybody in this room with no doubt, 100% certainty, that we are getting lied to. We are getting lied to. It started over in Mount Orb. That council has lied to people. We have the NDAs, we have the sales reports, we have everything, all of the evidence that's needed to be able to see that there is a data center coming Mount Orb. That E.B. Stu and the Port Authority did conspire against us behind our backs and kept us in the dark about what's going on over there, where the people simply don't have an opportunity to have a say. Kind of similar to what happened out here with these solar fields. You know, most folks didn't even realize what was going on with that until the concrete was already put in the ground. That's not the case here. We got ahead of this one and got to find out about it way early. Good people in this community dug their feet down into the sand and started doing the research, started looking, asked the right questions, forced accountability, forced transparency to be a thing. What I can tell you right now today, I can tell you with no doubt whatsoever that the Western Brown Board of Education signed those NDAs to be a part of that. I can tell you that the Mount Orb Village Council all signed those NDAs to be a part of that, with the exception of Lang's son. He rescinded his NDA, and good on him. I can tell you that the Port Authority, Southwestern Ohio Regional Development, all signed those NDAs. I can tell you that the Brown County Commissioners signed those NDAs. How can I say that with such confidence? Because I have the documents in my possession. I have the evidence. It's all out across the internet. A lot of folks don't use the internet. A lot of folks might say that, oh, well, I haven't heard about that yet. It's our responsibility to make sure that they know about it. It's the government's responsibility to provide us with transparency and accountability. It's not my job to ask for it. It's their job to provide it. And when they fail to provide it level after level, we end up in a situation where we have what one could arguably could be a conspiracy. I'm not a conspiracy guy. I don't like it. I don't want it. I don't want no part of it. As a Brown County Commissioner, you're going to tell me, I already know I got a limited role in what I can and cannot do as a commissioner. But as a guy on the inside, as a guy that might have the opportunity to be able to expose things that people have not thought about, they have questions to ask yet, I wore my boots tonight as an example of putting boot to ass And excuse my language, I know a lot of folks don't think too kindly of vulgar language. But I can tell you this, you can continue to keep voting the same way that you've always voted. You can go with that big family name. You can go with that big Brown County money that's always been here and been lining the pockets of certain people to make sure things go the way they want to. Or you can try something different. We tried something different in 2016, and I don't know about y'all, but I kind of like the outlook of that. And then we tried something different again in 2024, and I'm kind of liking how that worked out too. This year might be the year that Brown County decides they need to try something different. And that's really all I got to say about that. I do want to thank Mr. Adam Berg back there. I appreciate him hanging out all the way to the end, and I absolutely appreciate you stepping up and putting some skin in the game for the people here in Brown County.
For our last candidate of the night, Zach Thatcher, the Brown County Commissioner. And then again, we'll go into executive session. You'll hear from Gabe at Turning Point, and we'll come out and vote. Is Zach here? Going once. Is Adam checking?
Is there somebody else speaking for commissioner? No commissioner, go.
All right, Mr. Thatcher is not here. So that makes our night a little quicker. So Madam Secretary, if you come up here, let's call the roll. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session. Mr. Lowry moves. Second by Ms. Marlowe. All right, Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Angela Marlowe. Here. It's a yes or no?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
That's okay. Tim O'Hara.
Yes.
Bob Hare.
Yes.
Andrew, or Mark Potts. Jimmy Hile.
Yes.
Sandra Reader. Justin Smith.
Yes.
Betty Jo Ratliff. Yes. Janet Ward.
Yes.
April Howe.
Yes.
Wayne Lowry.
Yes.
Amy Sloat.
Yes.
Richard Dyer.
Yes.
Mike Mays.
Yes.
Nick Owens. Reggie McKenzie.
Yes.
Amber Morrison.
Yes.
Mary Lucas.
Yes.
Roxanne Malone.
Yes.
Paul Scott.
Yes.
Dustin Conley.
Yes.
Gordon Howe. All Gordon.
So we're going to retire to executive session. If Gabe, if you can kindly come up here and tell everybody about Turning Point Action and everyone, we're going to a classroom right around the corner there. And certainly, Central Committee members, feel free to use the restroom. We'll start in less than 5 minutes. Here you go, Gabe.
How's it going, everyone? Well, thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak before all of you today.
You got my.
For those of you listening, my name is Gabe Guidarini. I represent Turning Point Action here in Ohio. And first, before I get into anything, I want to thank all of you who were at our Charlie Kirk Vigil that we held last October. That was an incredible show of Christian conservative power here in this community. And now it's time to translate that energy into electoral action so that we can protect our communities. As I said, I'm Gabe Guidarini. I represent Turning Point Action here in the state of Ohio. I represent grassroots affairs here in Southwest Ohio. I go to UD, I'm a student there, I live on campus, and I cover legislative affairs for the whole state. Now, what are the stakes this election cycle, and what does Turning Point Action do? Many of you are familiar with Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA is the original organization founded by Charlie Kirk in 2013 with the intention of helping get conservatives active on college campuses across our state, across this country. Turning Point Action is a separate organization, and we are the electoral front for Charlie Kirk's operation that he founded. Our focus is on making sure that conservatives get out and vote every election cycle, every time, every candidate, all the way up the ballot and all the way down the ballot. And here's why that's important. And what's happening in Virginia right now, I think, is going to be the best tell as to what we're getting with the Democrats being so fired up right now. Democrats are not happy about what the Trump administration is doing. They're not happy about the agenda that President Trump is implementing, and they're fired up. And Republicans, we have a serious issue. Republicans consistently fail to turn out in off-year election cycles, like midterms, like this year, as the Democrats do. When President Trump isn't on the ballot, Republicans consistently fail to get out and vote at the same levels as the Democrats. And part of that, I think, is because, in a sense, we're more normal. We don't necessarily pay attention to every race that's happening. We don't pay attention to every local school board race, every county commission race. But these races matter. These races are just as important, if not more important, in your everyday life and in the lives of your children and grandchildren than what happens in the White House. Just because they show it on TV doesn't mean it means more to you than what's happening right here in your county board, on your local town halls. This is what's important. And with Turning Point Action, we know how to make sure to get conservatives out to vote. Last year, we did it. Last cycle, we did it. We turned out, during the 2024 election, we turned out over 13,000 Republican voters across the state to vote who wouldn't have otherwise voted. And that made the difference in a lot of key election cycles that we had here in the state. But we need to do more. And we need to make sure that we can fight the left right where they're at. What's happening in Virginia right now, where the Democrats just gained a trifecta last November and unseated Glenn Youngkin's administration, should serve as a tell for what they're trying to do here in Ohio. They're already pushing Democratic gerrymandering to rig the districts so that Democrats can only get elected to Congress in every district in Virginia but one. They're pushing to make sure that ICE can get handicapped at every turn by the state government, by state law enforcement, to prevent Trump's immigration agenda from being implemented. And they're making sure that DEI is implemented at the state level. They're making sure that income taxes are jacked up. They're itching to do that right here in Ohio. And if we don't stand up and firmly say no as a collective voice at the ballot box this November, our children and grandchildren will not be safe in this state. That is an objective fact. They are itching to implement that agenda here. And if Amy Acton and Allison Russo and that cadre of Democrats is elected, we will have a really hard time in this state. But here's what you can do. For those of you paying attention, pull up your phones, go to the App Store, and look up TP Action on the App Store or Google Play or whatever your App Store on your phone is. This app that we've created, Charlie Kirk signed off on while he was still alive. This app is a free software that allows you to knock on the doors of your Republican neighbors, call them, text them remotely from your phone. And it shows you where all the Republicans are around you, all the local Republican voters, based on the proximity of your phone. So this is really important for your neighborhood. You can see who in your neighborhood is a Republican. There may be some pleasant surprises. You didn't know someone was a Republican. You can find them. You can make sure that they're getting out and voting. And we can match the turnout differential that the Democrats are setting this November, and we can make sure that things get done in the state. That we can elect good people, no matter who gets nominated, that we can elect good people who will protect our communities so our children and grandchildren can enjoy it in the way that we have. And they know that we're good at doing this. The Democrats and the left have been fronting a lot of really nasty attacks at Turning Point lately, backed by a lot of money. And they're doing it because they know full well that Turning Point gets it done. And Charlie Kirk was not slain in broad daylight by a leftist freak with a transgender boyfriend so that we could just say, it's not our problem, our leader is gone, we're just gonna pack it up, we're gonna throw in the towel. Absolutely not. We're gonna fight twice as hard, and we're gonna quadruple that every single election cycle. We're gonna chase more ballots this cycle than we did in 2024 during the presidential cycle. And we're going to keep adding it on after that. Because what's at stake this election here in Ohio is not simply a choice between Democrats and Republicans. It's a choice between continual decline, continual decay, and leadership that hates us versus leadership that actually wants us to thrive and wants our children and grandchildren to be able to actually live in this state and not have to flee this state like millions of people are fleeing from Illinois, New York, California every single day. Turning Point gets it done. We're here to help. Feel free to come up to me with any questions that you have. We're here to be a resource for you. We're here to be a resource for the county party. We're here to be a resource for every true patriotic American who believes that this country is worth saving and believes with us that this country can be saved. So we can make sure that we can actually make it great again, once again. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for being plugged into the process. Thank you for making it your civic obligation, for your enacting that civic obligation that you have to pay attention to what's happening in your community. Local races like these matter a lot. So thank you. God bless you. God bless America.
Nothing yet. We did go out. They had the award ceremony that had been put off for 2 weeks because of the snow. So we went to that and went to breakfast. She's one of them that just won't call off. As soon as she's done, she not everybody. Account manager, kind of production person. She got through a temp agency and her and the owner kind of see that's the work ethic. She's just like she'll figure out the problems that they got. Work better. They were doing a couple of extra competencies like reading a little bit, old school and extra business, etc. So we did that. So it's like her flowers. Well, she sent me some. Before the day, which is my good. Saturday or Saturday. Fine town. I'm working. Oh, probably. They have a restitution. See, that's the issue I'm having, and I'm working with shopping. Right. That's right. I don't have all these bookstores closed. She's like, I knew she was getting out. What you're doing out there? He's trying to go get his. I just wanted to show him. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even say it was nervous. I didn't even sit and watch it. You done did all this now. Don't get all. I don't know. I mean, I just started out. I'm glad. Somebody next door. And there's lots of and just man, I'll tell you that's but that's like I said, I mean somebody's they ain't gonna be able to do much like to stop and that's what's crazy this time. Yeah. But we definitely Yeah, I didn't want to miss it, man. I know, because earlier in the week you told me. But you're done plowing. Yeah, you're right about that. Don't be like Cliff and get rid of that. Oh. We call fight fun, but it's more fights. But we have to make it. And we know how to work well. We can move around. We can also take it. So we left one down. Okay. So my bill easier moving around. Right. But we did have it. We didn't have to. And it's a good thing because one of our maintenance guys went out and fired it up. Kicked it on this earlier this week. And it ran about 2 minutes of shut off. And he did it again because it's kept it in the building at work. Right. Like kind of like he thought the battery might have been bad. And brought it back. And trace it all down. And it was a loose wire. But it took us hours to figure that out at night. But luckily, they got it and they drained it. So everything worked out. If the battery's not up, it don't work.
Yeah, right.
I know, I've seen them so much. I'm like, yeah, my uncle's got one of them, but then he goes to Florida all winter. Yes, he is. Yeah, he called me. It was right after Thanksgiving. He calls me twice a year. Everything she did, right. Turn the water off. So when he called, he said, "You know what I'm calling?" He said, "Well," he said, "Nice to meet you. You might not be as jealous as me next month." Like, well, I guess you can see it live on. Yeah. And probably is, but you know, I never think. It was grandpa. Okay. He was okay. I guess it's 45 minutes. Real close to the beach. He's been dating for like 2 years. Barely. We always went to date. First time he told me about her, I'm like, "What's her last name?" We always went down there. That ain't true. But like they kept talking. The mom's like, "We're flying about it." Yeah, but I think she's.
Okay, so we're at a break right now in the actual event here. here while they're off in executive session voting on the contested races. So the contested races were Ohio Governor, Ohio Secretary of State, Ohio Supreme Court, Ohio Treasurer, State Central Committeeman, and Brown County Commissioner. So the Central Committee here is off in executive session, looking at who they will endorse and voting on who they will endorse. And when they're back, you'll find out, and I'll find out who they endorse in these different races.
Looks like you. I'm like, wow. She does so much. They run 40 all year anyway. I got some buddies in Gainesville and Lowell, which is about an hour. They come up here. They come on range. Yeah. And then they come on that. Okay.
Property taxes. I don't know about what's happening.
Fishing. We've got good time. We've got good time.
That's right.
I agree. I told Randy was with us one time. Well, it was like 30 miles up the Gulf. I don't know when I different time. We went out on the air. I was holding the tree. So I had to hold the tree. Because that thing was, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Rich shot. Yeah, how do you like that? And we rolled it in the boot. I mean, that's all the time. You know, like it's something. Yeah. For the meat. At least he's sure because he's got it all in the water. But I need it. You need it. I love it. Yeah, they make them think about what do I need to do. So if we did it, how do I hit the data? That was big. Somebody was out to get right. Like this guy. Oh, it's like they want to hear the I bet it's one of those offices. It's like, hey, we elect you. Now don't let me hear it. We hear about you. Well, when you do you walk down through there, there's a call. It's all moving. Once you let me go with them, I don't go back. We stand here fishing all of a sudden.
legislation on.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, yes. They need to do this. Maybe the violence. Every person on account with $50 fine every time they go to the bank. And you couldn't get it because a lot of society has to right now it's so funny. And they'll hire a lawyer, they'll well, but it's a wake-up call that nobody was I mean, it's on the sheet. I do it this time. And the government we all were out there one time. A lot of people that flashlight and shot it in there. You know, a lot of people like looking for an angle where I got somebody else. You know, a lot of I think it was happening before. They don't bother me as long as I see them. I'd get frightened, but then I'm anyway, the guy, you get it, whether it's a guy or not, I don't know, you got to be a guy in Facebook. In his driveway, it's like it's never had somebody in their driveway. Say, all right, I'll talk to you. It's like a new things for me. Versus a homeland running. You know what I got there? I don't know if I said this much, but I got there. It was like an hour and a half drive from my
She's seen too many movies.
So I got there. Oh, yeah. And it's kind of like come up and I thought he was going to
Sounds like a 50 film. Yeah, grandma did.
And then I'm like, oh, he's driving and I can tell him. And then I'm like, okay, I'm here. And then I asked, she thought you were at the job. What are you doing? What are you doing? How far is the elementary school driveway to here? 5 minutes. So I looked at like, oh, yeah. Well, it's like 5 minutes there, 5 minutes back. Okay. So I'm sitting there, then I'm like, my watch is going to be like 18 minutes. And I'm like, bro, I better stop calling the people, you know, or something like this, you know, and it's like, and blow your whole stuff.
Just didn't even know. We did. We did.
There's a lot of things that aren't inherently now. And there's a lot of things that are not inherently all good or all bad. Generally, you want to have something. Yes. But if you have somebody that's very qualified, you don't you seem like you're qualified. It's like the smartest
At least they don't fly around during that. And I mean, he is from
my son. I wish he killed Montgomery, you know, and I know
open your mouth on your
jackers.
Oh, yeah.
Where they sell them. That's like a huge part of their business, selling Cincinnati stuff going on. But he's with the office. He's one of the remote employees. He's very good at what he does. So they let him live. His wife lives in clubs. We're the ones that have to come to Cincinnati one day a week. You know, you have somebody very
we're replacing everything.
And you don't want to cut this off.
Okay.
Right now, it's all good. Trying to get somebody in. But a lot of these things in government, they never have a discussion. Like every time I worked in corporate America, they always had an when you go, because you were always like, every place I worked was like, and then I would be like, I like to do stuff because then I was worried about
Okay. If the big leaders, the two little bitty types, they feed everything. We've been eating that for a while. We get one little leaf, 12-inch main across straight field. She does. We got about 30 minutes. You get an EPA violation, people without water and stuff. Oh, yeah. They go, Russ goes out of water for 3 hours. Really? They need it. Or $9 million. Oh, no. It was the youngest one. Maybe in the oldest one. Before it's always yeah. Oh yeah, my road. Yeah, yeah. The river from my house. And it don't melt. You're right. Figured out. You've done a good bit. So mostly concrete roads, repair work. Really old blacktop patching. Yeah, he's good at that. He does a good job. I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna call him that when I call him. He'll know probably exactly where I heard him. Yeah, that's for sure. He's I wish he'd come back over. He's a great he's a good leader too. He might not be like a leader. He's on the cruise. I think he's really well. I talked to him. They needed a betting secretly. Yeah. But he said, you know, I wouldn't know that they he's like, he's got a trailer. And it's just like this.
No, that's fine with it. Actually, it makes life easier, honestly.
I don't know, man. I'll put some gold. No.
Yeah. It was not.
Yeah. Something that way. Tracy Road comes out, and then it used to go all the way through, but it's dead end now. Yeah. Anyway. No, I've been throwing whole like. Your fellow was out here. He said that I had that. I've been throwing it out there. No work order, no, nothing on the comments here, anything like that. Not even in the. Go do that again. You know, and I think that's. She said something. And there is. Okay, she called her. He knows where he's at. This was probably 50. 750. That's how I feel about rents. It is 18. Right. So we place all the time. So she's like, well, let me talk to my husband. She did the right thing. Right. Right. Not true. Yeah, my grandma, grandpa, I should have least.
I don't roll that way, Paul. I told you.
He's ready now. As soon as you get elected. As soon as you're elected in, you jump in there. What are you doing with the money?
Ready? All right. And then it helps you to cheat. It has a document right there. It doesn't look like the
Hey, they were shooing him out. It's so cool. He said there was.
Yeah, I don't know the
I didn't know that was wrong. It's like a lot of these people, elected officials are like, this is like.
Now they're entitled because we've let it get along. You know how you let someone get a bad.
I'm not thinking aloud. I'm thinking my wife is wrong. But if I did something wrong, she was mad at me about doing something wrong. And if I was just like, I used to I used to one of the things is, you know, if somebody comes and says, we do all ideas. How dare you first listen? You know, I made a Google like it's bogus. On these issues. You know, like pretty much however, that's not something that so, but you can get people all and then
Obviously, I go to the opposition. Go look at my that's their lunch.
They said like, well, actually, the odds of like an instance of somebody who's been in school is hopefully low. Every day, so they want to have all of they can deal with them more effectively under the weight of a local violation. But that's why. Back in the day, why law enforcement and they want to be able to get the kids or their because under some of that, you know, as well as you do negligence. By the way, new John Becker. So John Becker was my friend. You can't always and he would say like ex-military, ex-law English teacher that weighs 104 pounds. And so that would be made a lot of sense. Actually, did he have a gun?
Busy with something else and then the student. Wouldn't that be crazy?
We could have it. They were looking for the best. They were looking for the best answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Better keep it on. See how this thing works. But you gotta love it.
Good. He brought him. That's what they go. I think younger people get under your weight. You kind of, yeah, you kind of lead them. There's always
I went to
yeah.
And they were that's my not being death. I've got to get a scholarship. I gotta push my kid now, like, you better be good at sports. You better play chess. You better be able to play ball. Because they give scholarships. Because me and your mom, you can get Where'd he go? Is that where he goes? Miami. He went to Miami. After telling my wife, I went there, and then my kid was like, I'm not
You get older and that's how my son is with the Bengals. I like the Bengals. We were season ticket holders for years. You know, now he don't like it. He likes it. You know, like, and it's like this. Kids is big. We did go to the Super Bowl.
I love to hear
Yeah, that's what he does.
I was a season ticket. Not a good time.
Yeah, I would never spend money on this.
I'm in Claremont, so you gotta like, be friendly to me, man. I'll go for it. I'm a hilarious Scales fan. Yeah, it's a mess. Just a mess.
Yeah, it's like celebrities. They have nobody.
I think you're the right man for the job there, and I think you should take the young guy who runs the lane and then try to transition him. You probably wrote a speech. Chris is over here. So,
Yeah, that's all how you are.
I think he thinks right. Yeah, I think he thinks right, but like I was saying, like I think he would take action, and I think that's important, especially in Claremont. It's a mess.
Hey, Greg.
Claremont is, yeah, no, you know the ins and outs.
It's all working. You know, okay, but we do have to be driving around. You know, because that's one of the right passes. I don't know if you've ever done this. Driving around, but not like.
I don't know what we're getting ready to do.
Five going up. Yeah, don't buy this stuff. And don't buy that. I had a question. I was.
Oh, yeah. We need to wire. We got to talk some. He has some.
But I'm sure
how much are
you got to go
we don't need
it's like that they're right on all that you can go across the river to West Virginia. One time I went out there, so I went across the river. That's what I heard. But from here, you're a lot better than where I live. Like a 3-hour drive.
That's what.
I'll have yeah, because we need some just
Speed was fine.
even if it's
They also do I like 3x4 because they only take sure you do like out certainly have the extended mix. They don't want to have 4x4s or
chest level or Is it the rib kind?
I like digital.
They work on the other side. So when you get high, you get you can have.
She said, he's being Cliff.
That's why you say.
He texted me a little bit after.
You don't like it.
Hey, message Hannah until that Saturday. She has to be ABC, something. I can't remember the name. We go find she's on herself. Even if there's Michael's with her. Right, I mean, she didn't want him to see her not. But yeah, she didn't. Really. So yeah, because it was a quick pause from that song where I gave her a big buzz. Yeah, sitting in my mouth. But yeah, I don't know. That's what like. Where are you recommending the song? Kind of involved a little bit.
I remember. You got so many years. They'll have packages for like how many, 100 with steaks, without steaks. You don't need more than 10.
I think he's got about 60 steaks, so we'll need a few.
Like a novel price. It's easier because then you have back in these days, my sobriety was hard to make the white without having to.
We designed like we got a white radio player. Nobody conservative, not range. The devil. They probably call, yeah, it's just been scared. Listen to a song back.
All right, well, so we're still waiting for him to come back here at the Brown County GOP endorsement meeting for the primary, and we're all just hanging out. And I don't know if you're hearing any of the conversations, but those of you sticking with it, hopefully they'll be back soon.
Yeah.
I don't want to be part of this. They asked me to be a part of this.
You think they're right?
I'm telling you, some of these people, you gotta watch what side. I mean, I'm telling you, you know,
have you noticed the
yeah, we're close to this.
Next time I need to have a real politician.
Yeah. Well, last year,
Okay, 2 years ago.
he got pretty good at that.
You think so?
I don't know. Yeah. I definitely don't agree with
Yeah.
should not have been endorsed.
That's absolutely true. Because it caused him to also not campaign. And he's never campaigned before. He's never campaigned for an office, let alone a statewide office.
He only got what? I mean, Mom.
I don't care. I don't follow people just because they voted for the same guy. I don't know why people think like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always.
Casey kind of means all the check. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, never been a. And then further than. You're just What do you do? Something along those lines.